Ah, shit, and I already lose. The attack. Damn, I wasn't ready. I sent my Ling out too late. When we asked you where you had gone, you'd always say you didn't remember and hide that little bag somewhere we could never find. I get up and go to my luggage. There it is, a red gift bag, innocently sitting beside my largest suitcase. I pick it up. Inside, a single devil's food cake sits with a note attached to it. I rip the note off and open it, my heart pounding and stomach rolling. Thanks for playing, Isaac. You've always made the best puppet. 16 bodies this time. Congrats on the new record. The gun, the knife, the blood. Always the blood. I caused that blood, didn't I? I'm the monster, aren't I? What is it, Isaac? Grandma touches my shoulder and I jump. Are you alright? What's that say? Nothing, Grandma. I move away from here. It's nothing. I stuff the note in my pocket and the bag in my suitcase. It's nothing at all. We stay humble to our clan. Every 5 years we purge one of our own. God has righteously allowed us to live, and he has deemed it necessary that not too many of us should be in one place for once. For the land cannot sustain more than 50 dedicated followers of the way. The eldest of us is responsible for leaving our village, never to return. Yes, Levi, but it turns out there's actually an update for AMD. So that is actually probably the reason why it was crashing. And I was like, no, there's no way there's an update. So I opened up AMD, and sure as shit, there's a fucking update. Remember, as always, if you can't say fuck you to your friends, who can you say fuck you to? Fuck you. It's just like, well, should I just bail and run the fuck away? Do something like completely random, like a Zerg? Well, yeah. Let's see what I get. 73%, not bad. What about my
type it
power?
in my chat. Hey, it does do that. 21%.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Good thing we're not
I'm sorry,
today.
Levi.
My king. So you're gonna have to win by the other means. Good game.
Yay! Oh, okay.
That was an even faster win than my one.
You were distracted the whole entire time. That's why I was like, okay, let's take advantage of this.
That were your culprit location.
Nerderine rated my stream with 12 viewers.
Oh my god,
Welcome,
Nerderine!
to the stream.
Welcome, welcome!
Here we got someone in. Hey, Nerderine.
Well, I will be there.
Actually, they could take that. That's not a long castle, mate. There. That's a long castle, mate.
The command center. Cancels the fucking command center.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
And starts 2 barracks. And then he's gonna be waiting for them to mine those minerals to be like, alright, when's his command center up? And then he's gonna see the fire bat.
He sees a fucking fire bat move out. Okay. You have to start a mass sunkens now.
Like colonies.
That's way too late. You have to start it as they're leaving the natural. This is Hero dying.
And then Hero doesn't make it into ASL because of that.
You're quite good at this, honestly.
Oh, I'm so bad. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, no, I fucked up. But remember, as always, if you can't say fuck you to your friends, who can you say fuck you to? Fuck you. So technically this world is post-apocalyptic, and you do learn about that throughout the story. About the moon falling out of the sky, what the Monarch did, the war against the Beastmen, how it all started and everything like that. It's a high quality heart if you played like a video game and you know how it has like high quality gear, like HQ gear. Less than 4 is like a high quality heart. It's heart +1, you know, it's upgraded. I mean, that's a very good thing to start with, because having just a base foundation of that is very powerful, especially if you have really, really good ideas. If you're really good at one thing... Yo, how's it going? We back! And today, we finished it. So, I need your guys' opinion. Is it too much? Is it not enough? I don't know. So let's see what you guys think. Nepotism unleashed. Reginald exhales a thick cloud of smoke, overpowering the faint shimmer of his wife's stellar perfume. He knows with unshakable certainty that his opponents falter before him. You know you can't beat me. I'm the best. Give it up, sleepy. The devil's husband is waiting his try. Melanie purrs, her soft voice curling around Reginald's ears like velvet. We require more wine, she says, her words a delicate blend of plea and command. The poker table gleams its gold embroidery and diamond inlays, a testament to opulence, a battlefield of dashed despair. The men sit rigid, spines stiff with defiance. Reginald rises, breaking the trend. Some gentleman we have here, he mocks, striding to the minibar. His fingers brush the cool glass of whiskey bottles, the sharp scent of oak and tobacco rising as he pours drinks for the women. The wives gliding forward, empty glasses in hand, their elegance a weapon, toiling.
The
their
world
men
someone
to
grew up
compliance with
on
their
wasn't
own
called
special
Earth,
tools.
and why would a writer
Eyes
use
flicker
what on
forward,
Earth as an
shifting at unease. Reginald turns, puckering his lips to
Expletive.
Melanie and teasing kiss.
True, Sean.
She curtsies, a flush warming her cheeks, and leads the women back to the couch, her steps light as whispers. Bob leans back, grinning slyly, looking over at his wife. You say that like you hold something against it, Gina. He edges closer, voice dropping low. She's the devil, no doubt. But better the devil you know, huh? His gaze cuts to Reginald, who smirks. The only sleepy I'm known for, Josh drawls, pausing for the punch, is sleeping with that all day and night. Laughter explodes, raw and raucous, bouncing off the walls. Reginald leans in, mischief glinting. At least I raised a functional member of society. He fires back. Oh, and Bob, I didn't get humiliated in public over something like that. Reginald continues, looking at Josh. Pardon? What was it you said you would never do? Oh yeah, that's right. We all remember. At least he builds bridges, unlike our mill over there, torching them with that Our Care fiasco. I think pieces of that are still holding together thanks to Josh. My era wasn't far off, and I didn't love it, but it is what it is. I didn't tell him to do it, Josh smirks at Dick. Why'd you do it? Dick flushes crimson, braced for the storm. The table roars, fists pounding, chips rattling. Josh slips his hand down while they're distracted. As the men look down, their mood sour. Josh laughs. Bingo, bitches. The hell you mean, bingo, senile old man? Armil states, throwing his cards onto the table. We did say best 2 out of 3. Not my fault you're losers, says Reginald. Bob grips the table, rising. This guy loses and still claims victory. 20 years younger, I'd flip this damn thing. Dick cuts in. You bet and bombed. Thank Reg for the chance. Shut it, Dick, Bob growls, slumping down. He pours a drink, downs it fast, the burn sharp against his throat. The poker game continues, the men's laughter and banter filling the cabin. Melanie glides to the metal hatch as a knock echoes. She leans against the frame, her fingers pressing the intercom. Who is it? Daniel, ma'am. May I enter? Oh, I wouldn't have it any other way. Melanie slides against the wall, her movements fluid. Daniel adjusts his tie, clears his throat, and steps in. They approach the poker table, her steps mirroring his, her hand grazing his arm. Reporting, sir, Daniel says. Takeoff's ready. Delegates agree. Dubai's set. All clear? Reginald waves him off. No sweat, kid. You're good. Thanks. Understood. I'll tell the pilot. Melanie loops her arm through his. I'll tag along, she winks, and give my opinion, her eyes lower. Daniel covers her hand with his. Appreciated, my lady, but unnecessary. She giggles, escorting him to the door. This, at least, I can do. She plants a kiss on his cheek. Daniel exits, relief washing over him, though irritation simmers. His inner thoughts fume. That woman is a menace, always playing games. The fate she sealed in other men led them into a cold sweat. The lavish corridors of the fuselage stretch before him, the air heavy with polish and power. 2 guards snap to attention as Daniel nears the on-ramp. At ease, he says. Stay sharp. This is big. Don't gape at the legends. He salutes, heading for the upper deck stairs. Laughter from above breaks his focus as he climbs. Pilot's bored, betting on disasters, he guesses. He knocks on the flight deck hatch. Password? Pussy. There was laughter from inside the cabin, and the door swung open. Best in the business, slick as a seal, stable as a mountain, the pilot quips. Ready to roll? First, I have to know what you were hollering about 2 minutes ago. The pilot's exclaimed glances. You sure about that? It's been pretty quiet in here. Oh, give it up, Simon. I ain't spilling the beans. You can let me in. Daniel nudges the pilot with his elbow. I'm sweeping security. Catch you later. Shuts the door, pulling the cigar from his vest. The match flares and he inhales, smoke curling as he inspects the plane. Routine takes over. He braced as the plane began to move. By his practiced nature, he was in the moment once more. A sound pulled him from his inspection. Near the rear, the presidential suite. At first, he dismissed it as ghosts from the engine. Sometimes ears play tricks on you over the constant noise, altitude, and pressure shifts of a climbing airplane. This time, the sound caught the wind in his ears, closing in on the presidential suite. He knew something was wrong. The sounds grew louder, doubts looming. Those old farts can't move that fast. Thoughts spun. Resolutely unholstering his gun, Daniel raised it, staring at the door, opening it. One line of threats instantly erased itself from his mind. A singular note of perception illuminated the facade. Alcohol bottles, condom wrappers, weed mixed with coke and tobacco. The room was a disaster. Sir, he radios, you need to see this. The master bedroom creaks open. A man stumbles out, robe gaping, his face lost in a bottle. We've got a problem, child, Daniel stresses in the presidential suite. As Daniel deals with the chaos in the presidential suite, the poker game below continues, oblivious to the storm brewing above. Adrenaline surges, youth flooding his veins, cinnamon and This is my favorite glass, scene. Sweat, I fucking love this
scene.
scene. Tanner snorts, rubs his nose, and gulps liquor, the sting sharp against the drip in his throat. A camera flashes, clicks echoing. Cindy slices a line with a card, rolls a bill, and inhales. Ooh, love this rich shit, baby. You're the best. Weed with cocaine apparently does nothing.
Dad's
It just
private
burns
stash.
the cocaine in the
Thinks he's
blunt.
hot shit.
I live my own way. As well, Raymond Dow, drinking and doing coke is the same thing. Like, you do, they're like opposites. Like, you do coke, and then you do alcohol, and then you do coke, and then you do alcohol. So it's like, it's kind of a way to show how retarded he is. And, like, I've never done coke, but I kind of have it, like, I have friends who done it and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a funny thing that you bring up, because that's actually true. And it's like, it's such a fucking waste, but he's such a fucking, degenerate, it doesn't matter.
He can choke. He sets up more lines, snorting them fast. Harold, nail this shot.
He grabs the bottle.
Chugging.
I'm fine
Harold.
moment.
Press badge gleaming, angles his camera. The young man positions himself at the most cinematic angle. 7, 8, 9, 10. Cindy takes 3 lines, face flushing. She snatches the empty bottle. You finished it, asshole? Leaving me dry? The way it's gotta be sometimes, baby. Don't take it personally. I'm just a dick. Tanner smirks, patting her head. He grabs a fresh bottle from the mini fridge, the glass icy in his grip. 5 angles, Harold. He tilts back, gulping, eyeing Cindy as she pouts. The camera sings to the beat of exasperated gulps with each flash. He slams the bottle down, the thud ringing out, and staggers to the counter, fixated on the leftover coke. Cindy smirks, lining it up. Tanner sways, legs buckling. She snorts all 4 lines and flips him off. The world spins and shakes. Tanner stabilizes, blinking at the bare counter. Fucking bitch! That was the last of the stash up here. Now I have to go grab the other one in the luggage storage. Don't leave, Harold warns. Futile. Someone might come. Stash is down there, Tanner snaps. I'm getting it. The intercom on the chair arm buzzes to life with the sound of Daniel's voice. We have a problem, child. Come up to the top deck, presidential suite. Josh switches it off, leaning forward in his chair. All in. He slides his chips across the board. Do or die, my friends. Fate is in your hands now. Grumbles rise. Some fold. Some call. Josh, Reginald, and Dick remain. Final hand. Read and weep. Stone cold victory. He could relish this moment as he walked to the plane. The thought of them steaming and no way back. Fury and pride wore in his eyes. Josh instantly recognizes the style. Tanner! He bellows, shock rippling through Daniel. You spoiled little shit! Not here, not now! Cuff him, Daniel. Are you sure, sir? Do you want a few minutes to? Don't say it. Daniel pauses. Tanner burps, almost vomiting on himself. Drool spills from his mouth. Gonna have to cuff me. Tanner slurs, lurching. His feet tangle, and he crashes. Daniel cuffs him, hauls him up. They enter to gasps. Cindy and Harold freeze, doomed. Tanner, how'd you get on? Josh demands. Then to Daniel. How'd they board? Daniel's gut sinks, career ending. Tanner mumbles. Guard, blackmail. Blackmail the guards? Josh asked. Tanner shakes his head. Bribery. Who'd you blackmail? Harold steps in. He hired me to snap pics, record everything. Said if I held the best dirt, no one else could touch him. Josh and Daniel nod. Not the brightest apple, Josh says. Daniel eyes Josh, confirming the statement. Cindy pulls her phone out during the exchange. She smiles. Follow my lead, Harold. She raises her phone. They have the president! We're under attack! Help us! Harold falls into line, shouting, Get your hands off him! This is being streamed to the whole world! You are done for now! Tanner kicks the wall as hard as he can in his state. The bang rings through the bedroom. Cindy drops her phone and runs over to Tanner. Take these off him now! Daniel looks to Josh. Do it. They're just gonna make a scene. Springing up, eyes wild, bolting for the coke. Tanner stumbles across the plane, clutching seats. Daniel pursues. Simon, it's Daniel, he radios. Rogue critter, Tanner, heading your way. Tanner? That weasel? Corner him? Always. Outside the plane, the world watches in growing alarm. News anchors scramble to make sense of the unfolding crisis. We interrupt your program with urgent news. At 7 p.m. yesterday, Air Force One carrying the President and former presidents departed Jacksonville for Dubai's World Health Summit. It's 11:30 a.m. now. Landing's near, but communications dropped. Dubai's air traffic control is scrambling. All we've got is a U-Talk clip. A jet engine roars. A shaky camera pans. A woman cries. They've got the president! We're under attack! A man with a press badge shouts.
Bro, this is one of your finished
projects. You're done.
Yeah,
for
scrambled
now.
eggs.
A bang
Just finished this
goes
one
down.
today. So I'm wondering
That
what
is
you
all
guys
we
think
have
about
for
it.
inside the
If it's
plane
too
at the
much for the
moment. Is
visuals
this some
or
kind
the
of
sound or
hijacking?
anything like that.
Loudest voices in the public have been against the summit signing this week. Demonstrations have been popping up across the country.
You.
Could this be a mutiny from within? No word from officials. We appear to be the only ones reporting on this. As the plane hurtles towards Dubai, the situation on board spirals out of control. Could this be a mutiny from within? No word from officials. We appear to be the only ones reporting on this. Stay tuned after this commercial. As the plane hurtles towards Dubai, the situation on board spirals out of control. The news reports grow increasingly frantic. We're back with the latest on Air Force One. Unauthorized boarders slipped on before takeoff, endangering the president and ex-presidents. This ties to the Dubai Health Treaty vote. The tension around this subject has been palpable. Enforcing a worldwide mandatory all-in-one shot. This mixes all the flu and disease shots into one effective cure. The nation is fractured by this bill. Attempts to stall or postpone this meeting have been seen in demonstrations all across the nation. Could this be an act of the people? We bring you now to the Embassy of Dubai, where our correspondent Devin has more. Take it away, Devin. This chaos has us reeling, Devin says. Some hail the cancer cure, but the world does not seem ready for it. The cure only works at a young age to adapt with your body and grow in order for it to become effective. Parents balk at this experimental drug, despite its 70-year history and recent breakthroughs. Western resistance pressures the globe. The summit signing vow has ignited this fire. This has made negotiations tenuous. So the new declaration that the signing will happen is ramped these to the extreme. That's some insight, Devin, but what is to be done about the hijacked plane? Details are thin. It's on course for Dubai, despite no communications. It has not deviated from its course. Its landing at the Dubai airport should continue as scheduled. Several military jets have been launched to intercept and inspect the plane to make sure there is no visible damage. Hold on. Public videos show Air Force One low over Dubai. Here's the footage. Skyscrapers loom, a plane streaks low, engines roaring over crowd noise. Devin, We've got a visual. It's off course, descending early. A camera zooms from a rooftop. Air Force One skims the skyline. Too close. The Burj Khalifa looms. The plane vanishes behind it. We've lost. An explosion rips through. Metal grinds, glass shatters, smoke billows. The plane smashes through, wings torn, tumbling. Floors collapse. The fuselage slides down, crashing head first. As it struck the ground, the explosion erupted with a ferocity that dwelt in the soul for ages. What do you guys think? Too much? Like, I think the music is pretty fucking perfect, but I think maybe it's a little over the top with the visuals. But I don't know. But yeah, I was happy I got it finally fucking finished and posted. It's been forever since we posted a fucking video. So, finally got one up. I mean, I'm super proud of it, but I don't know. I need other people's opinions, right? Because I do think it might be... It's awesome. Well, thanks, Scrambled Eggs. I really appreciate that. Now we got to do a comparison. Where is... So, I met this guy the other day, and he hadn't, like, he only posted 4 videos, right? And he hadn't posted in 4 months. And I watched his video, and it was fucking amazing. So I told him... Scrambled eggs? I did that. You did that with Grok? Like, I made the images with Grok, but, like, I edited the entire thing in Filmora. Oh, all the files are gone. But yeah, that shit happens. And then some of them are just B-roll, random B-roll. The music is just from, like, a free music site. But anyways, we gotta compare ourselves to this guy. Because I told him he's fucking amazing and he needs to keep posting more. So he did. So we're gonna listen to this. The channel's called Cameron's Journal. Go check him out. He's got 8 videos and 8 subscribers. But, dude, I would literally hire this guy to do the voiceovers and the character acting for my stories. This guy's fucking awesome. Like, listen to this shit.
July 12th, 2027. Dad wasn't asked today about the job situation. I don't blame him. You're 23, Henry. You
I
can't
was
just
gonna
sit
use
around.
AI for the voices, but I like your narrator voice. I was, but I couldn't find anything that was, like, free and escalate and, like, scaling, right? It was like, oh, you've used 200 words, now you have to pay. I'm like, fuck you. I get way more than 200 words. I'm not doing, like, 200 words a fucking day. But yeah, and I want to, like, learn to be a better... Because, like, the best way to do something is to have full horizontal and vertical integration. Horizontal integration would be, like, I do the editing, I do the recording, I do the story, I do the writing. And then the vertical integration is, like, I upload to YouTube, I upload to TikTok, I upload to Twitter, I stream it, you know... I put it on Royal Road, I put it on Kindle, I put it on Scribble Hub, I put it, like, every possible place I can, right? So it's like doing all of the things yourself so you can do them all, and then putting it everywhere you possibly can to get your name out there, right? That's the goal.
Computer every day.
And just to keep continuously get better. I mean, look at my first video and look at my videos now, right? And it's like, I've been a video editor for, like, 20 years, but it's like, it's not having... like, actual video recording to work with and only working with, like, sound and pictures and stuff has been a little bit challenging.
Yeah, I know, Dad. Guess I finally have to get my life together. At least one of us finally will. Whatever. July 14th. Drove out for a beach trip to clear my head today. Muscleheads everywhere, bikinis all around. Bad choice. The waves seemed wild. A surfer nearly drowned. The lifeguard had a lot of trouble getting to him. I heard one of the surfers say these were some of the biggest waves they'd seen in 10 years. I wouldn't know. Don't like surfing. But they did seem really big. July 20th. Landed an interview at the Grocery Pete's down the road. Thank God. Couldn't stand Dad's drunken fits anymore. He was starting to really lay into me the other night about everything I should be thankful for. Paid for your college, paid for the roof over your head, blah blah. I'd be thankful if you didn't spend the last 3 years getting a beer belly over Mom. Or maybe I'd be thankful if she were still around. Anyway. July 22nd. There were some impacts in Russia today that made the news. Unexpected meteor shower, or something, like that big one back in 2013. I was a kid then. I remember the videos, like a crazy streak of light and an explosion. Guess the universe decided to give us some extra fireworks for a late Independence Day. No one was hurt, apparently. I heard there are some nasty wilderness fires in the aftermath, though. Poor bears. July 26th. The impacts didn't stop with Russia. I just kept hearing it in the news. Felt like a new breaking headline was hitting the TV every hour. I started to hear them and then feel them. Tens of little rumbles and a huge one last night. It was like someone split the air in two and made a sonic boom, and my whole house shook. My neighborhood got loud as hell from all the dogs barking, and Dad's worried. We don't want to get hit, and there doesn't seem to be an end to them. July 27th. I can't sleep. The little explosions just keep happening, sometimes loud now. Nobody knows what's going on, and everyone thinks World War III started. The news issued a shelter-in-place order and advised moving to the lowest level of your house, if possible. Bunkers, if you have them. My neighbor Tom says it's space debris. It's all the satellites falling out of orbit or something. Some super EMP must have gone off. There's no way. The booms are too big. One hit a town over earlier, and all of the windows shattered here. Power went out too. Great. First responders can't keep up with the new disasters every minute. I hear a constant shrill from the sirens. July 28th. My phone died. Not that the internet was working. Dad pulled out an old battery-powered radio. Said we could keep it going for plenty of time until the power comes back on. I don't think it's coming back on. At least the destruction seems to be letting up, and there have been fewer tremors. I'm hopeful that whatever this is will just blow over. July 30th. The moon is falling. Dad laughed when he heard about it over the emergency broadcast channel. I don't think they're joking. Like my childhood nightmares come true. I remember looking up at that brilliant light in the sky while melting s'mores over a campfire with Mom. I asked her what we'd do if the moon ever fell down. I must have been 4. She smiled back then and said, "It's okay, Pickle. The moon is actually moving further away from us, believe it or not." I loved sharing that fact at school. It made me feel smart. Now I feel like an ant caught in a rainstorm, but the rain is giant molten rocks. August 3rd. The news just keeps getting worse. Maybe I should turn off the radio. I saw Dad shaking in a blanket huddled over the damn thing in the basement. Anyway. They said the water levels were rising at increasingly disturbing speeds. We are a ways inland, far enough above the sea level, I think. It's bad. I guess some places are just disappearing. Like they were never on the map to begin with. August 4th. The ground shook today, but it wasn't from above. We had a massive earthquake. I've never been in one. I thought maybe the moon had just hit the earth before the world began to wobble. Dad hit his head really hard on the shelf. Had to rip up a shirt and tie it around him. I've never been to church, but I keep praying that it doesn't get worse. No one's coming to help. August 5th. Dad is sweating and rambling about the government. Not unusual, if it wasn't for everything else. He thinks it's all a hoax. Half the city is in rubble right now. A huge stone mess. Great joke, Dad. August 8th. The sky outside is getting darker. I'd be more shocked if everything wasn't already so strange. Shit. People are dying everywhere. Nobody knows anything. The radio is just an annoying static now. Everyone's still up and around my neighborhoods talking about the end times. They're all scared. I keep telling Dad we need to move. We have to go. He isn't responding. August 8th. Dad didn't wake up today. August 21st. I am almost out of food in the basement. The canned corn tastes like rotting mud. I don't get it. I don't want to be here. The world keeps shaking. I feel like I should run, but I don't even know what from or where to go. If the moon really hits us, are we all just going to die anyway? Is there any chance it will burn up a little before impact? I don't know if anything I'm doing matters anymore. September. The radio came back on today, sort of. It sounds like someone's trying to speak under the static, but it doesn't sound like anything. It's just a gargle of noise, like an animal. The sky outside is an autumn crimson now. I can see the moon, larger than anything that's ever been in the heaven above. It's brilliant somehow. Other people keep saying they're seeing things. Tom said he saw a white blob at the corner of their eye earlier. Maybe the angels have come. September. Asteroids above are a constant inferno. A million fireflies burning out and circling our world. I try to close my eyes and think of what it would be like to be anyone, anywhere else in the universe. I wonder too if the stars will cry when we are gone. I miss Dad. September. It's getting hard to breathe. I saw one of the white blobs today that Tom was talking about. It wasn't a blob at all. It's more like a person or a thing. That isn't right either. Had long arms and long legs and no face. Pure white. Pretty. Sept. The radio battery died today, but I can finally hear the voice under the static. The moon is falling. The moon is falling. The moon.
Damn. See, he knows how to, like, build tension and shit like that, right? Like, I love twists and reveals and stuff, but he's all about, like, building everything up and then just letting it fucking slide out. It's just like, boom, gone. I love it. But yeah, it's Cameron's journal. Go check him out, guys. Give him a subscribly. But hey, anyways. Let's get on with it. Description blunders. I probably do all of these. This is going to be one of these ones that I'm going to absolutely fail. It's like not even going to be close. Description blunders.
When writers write description, there are some pitfalls that they can stumble into. So my goal in this video is to help you avoid those pitfalls and then steer you towards some better techniques for writing description. What we'll do in this video is we'll start with the least disruptive mistake, and then we'll escalate until we get to the last one, which is the most worrisome and problematic mistake of all.
As
the first
always.
mistake that writers often make when they're
Drowning in detail. Like I said, like my one technique for spreading this out is only incorporate what is within character dialogue and character action. If the character doesn't interact with it, then it's not important to the scene, unless it comes up later in another scene. If it weren't for the fact that it's in Spanish, I'd tell you to watch the video of the original author telling the story I translated that you read the other time. I mean, I'd listen to it on my own. I don't know if I do it on stream. Like, I don't mind, like, as long as I had subtitles for it. I don't mind reading subtitles. I just don't know how that would go on stream. Dude has an insane voice. Oh, I bet.
Writing description is drowning in details. There is this fantastic essay written by Julie Checkaway on the lingerie theory of writing description. So she says that writers, when writing description, are just like a Victoria's Secret ad. You can't show too much and you can't show too little. In the description, I'll put a link to the PDF of that article so you can check it out. But I think her point is essentially sound. Writers are struggling to balance between writing too much description, in which case the reader gets bored, or they write too little description and the reader isn't immersed into the world of the book. Now, as an editor, what I see most often is that writers tend to overdo the description, right? There's piles of description. I have to sort of work on paring that back. But if you learn one thing from this video, let it be this phrase: description should be illustrative.
Description should be illustrative rather than exhaustive.
Rather than exhaustive. So illustrative dialogue contributes to the plot in some way, it contributes to world building in some way, it contributes maybe to the theme of the book or the character's emotions or something. That's the type of description that you want. And if you find that you're writing a bunch of description that doesn't seem to fit into those categories, well, that might be a sign you should either trim it back or delete it entirely. Now, exhaustive dialogue writing is when you're trying to include everything that's in your imagination and transfer it all to the page. That's otherwise known as encyclopedic information. And listen, I know you have a fantastic imagination, I know you do, but the goal of being an artist is to really control and channel your imagination, not to like push it all onto the reader. You'll end up killing the reader with information. Now, the reason that some writers...
That's why this is what's in my mind, this is what's in the book. And then this is, like, the scale between that is, like, subtext and inference and, like, connecting the dots between, you know, different smaller tiny pieces that you can pick out later on.
End up writing exhaustive or encyclopedic amounts of description is because they've been trained on movies. And movies give a wealth of information in a single still. You know, it can be 1 or 2 seconds, but it contains so much information. Look at this still from The Royal Tenenbaums by Wes Anderson. Bill Murray is sitting in his office and he's recording some audio notes for himself. But look at the wealth of detail in this single shot. You have that map with all the stuff pasted over it. You have the anatomy posters. You have all the old technology, the recording device, the movie device. You have devices, I don't even know what they are. You have the file cabinet, you have the old television, you have the lamp, you have the desk, you have the green couch in the foreground. So a movie can include all those details and it's no big deal because it doesn't take time or attention away from the viewer. But if you try to include all those details in fiction, you're gonna bog down the narrative and the reader's not gonna be able to plow through all of it. The second blunder is getting too
purple. All right then. No idea what this one.
So my friend Mark Sarvis had a blog for many years. It was called The Elegant Variation. So an elegant variation is where you keep on looking up synonyms for words because you're worried that you said that word beforehand, so you want to come up with a clever synonym.
That's what I want to do.
Then you end up with these sentences where the word doesn't seem to fit very well, where it just seems like the synonym is there to show off how smart the author is. And so Mark Sarvis called his blog The Elegant Variation because it was something he was trying not to do, that he realized like, oh, this is a temptation of mine, I'm going to try to resist it. But in his first novel, Harry Revised, which was reviewed in the New York Times, the reviewer said, oh, like, look at this line, a dancing St. Elmo's fire of the groin. And basically the reviewer groaned and was like, well, that's kind of bad writing. And in some ways he sort of fell into the trap of the elegant variation, something he was trying to avoid. So an elegant variation is one type of a broader umbrella of things called purple prose. Purple prose is when the author is just trying too hard. Like they're trying too hard to write this sentence that's amazing and they go over the
Yeah, that's kind of sometimes, I guess, like, for instance, my case of this is like things that connect in some weird, fucked up way in my mind. Like the sentence in Nepotism Unleashed, where Daniel says, and she leads men to a cold sweat instead of leaves men in a cold sweat. And it's a play on, like, leading you on, because she's, like, super sexual and she's always leading people on. So replacing leave with lead to emphasize that nature was the idea behind the sentence. But whether the sentence actually works or not is up to everyone else. I just kept it because I thought it had a great underline to it, if you could make that connection, right? But I don't think a lot of people could, and it would just sound weird to them, which is understandable. And I have a lot of sentences that do that because I like to take random words, and it's not the elegant variation type. It's just like, I like the idea of stringing in a poetic, like, almost emotional response instead of an object itself. And it's like literally personifying that object as you're feeling. It's like, that's another, just like one of like the main three things I say that like are the poetic nature of my writing.
Top. Let's look at an example where the author is describing rain. From the cerulean vault above, a tempestuous deluge of tepid precipitation descends with startling alacrity, its diaphanous droplets pirouetting through the ether like crystalline tears of Olympian deities. Holy crap, what is happening? I feel like I'm swimming through a syrup of synonyms. If that's how you want to write, this is not the right channel for you. Please, go somewhere else. All right, so that's a bad example, right, of purple prose. But what is a good example of someone describing rain? Well, look at this one from J.M. Ledger. A sudden warm rainstorm washes down in sweet hyphens. Oh, it's simple, it's beautiful, it's not trying too hard, it's not trying to sound smart. There's that little simile on the end comparing rain falling to hyphens, which I think is very pleasant and beautiful, and I can imagine that visual. So follow J.M. Ledger. Don't try too hard in your description to make it sound beautiful. Just be simple and straightforward. A third mistake that writers often make on description:
emotionless information.
is emotionless information. So maybe you have watched my video on the most outrageously difficult writing exercises. If you haven't, I will put that link in the description.
That
so
one's
you can
on the
go there and
list.
check it out afterwards. But if you
It's
have
somewhere
watched it
on
already,
there.
then you will remember the one where I challenge you to do a writing exercise where you describe a tree from the perspective of someone who's feeling a strong emotion and make us feel that emotion just by how that character describes the tree. Now, the goal of that exercise is to teach you that information isn't given most of the time from a completely neutral perspective. It's usually seen by a character. And what that means is that the description of a place needs to be filtered through the consciousness or perception of that character. Great description makes us feel emotion. It is not emotionless. Bad description is merely decorative, right? It's merely information delivering, like, oh, now you know this, this, and this. So let's talk about a passage in Cormac McCarthy's The Road. Now, I'm not choosing a passage from the apocalyptic mess of, well, most of the book. I'm choosing the very last paragraph of the novel. Here's his description. Once there were brook trouts in the streams in the mountains. You could see them standing in the amber current where the white edges of their fins wimpled softly in the flow. They smelled of moss in your hand. Now, what do you feel when you read that passage, right? You sense beauty.
A sense of longing and missing. Yeah, yearning is a good word for
That's
that.
how the world used to be. It used to be beautiful like that, and now they're in this like wasteland, this apocalyptic wasteland. Man, great description always makes the reader feel something. So instead of being emotionless information, great description also does a lot of work in terms of characterization. I was just reading John Steinbeck's Cannery Road, and in it he shows two soldiers and the girls they've been dancing with all night emerge at dawn from this nightclub. They have been dancing and flirting all night long. They are very happy. And so how does Steinbeck describe the dawn? Well, he describes it happily because the characters are so happy. The gentle morning waves licked up the beach and whispered softly. The fine smell of seaweed came from the exposed rocks. It's funny because normally you wouldn't think of seaweed as smelling fine, but like to these characters, oh, it smells fine. Everything smells fine. A sliver of the sun broke over the land and gilded the water and made the rocks yellow. Gilded, right? That's a term for like covering something with gold. That's how good these characters feel in this moment. So remember, the description is never only about the thing described, but also the describer. And if you want to be even more amazing as an author, please hit that thumbs up button, say something in the comments, or subscribe. The fourth mistake that some authors make when they're writing
Sensory deprivation. This is why I always try to add in like every kind of sense to the scene to add, you know, certain things, but you know, it's a fucking work in progress, guys.
The description is sensory deprivation. So you know those tanks filled with salt water? People go, they lie down in them, it's completely dark, and their goal is to deprive themselves of all senses. It's supposed to be like this super meditative reset. I don't know, I've never done it. If you have, tell me in the comments whether it's as like magical as everyone says. But here's the thing, I feel like the description of some authors sort of works like a sensory deprivation tank. It is depriving you of the full range of senses, and instead, it only concentrates on one sense. Usually, that sense is sight. This is probably because the influence of the movies, right? Because people's imagination is entirely tied to the way that a camera operates. And so when they think describing a scene, they describe it almost entirely in terms of what their eyes are viewing. So your goal as an author is not to deprive the reader of all 5 senses. It's to get past sight and get to more interesting senses. So let me give you a writing challenge. It is the 4 senses description challenge. And in it, you have to write a paragraph that uses 4 out of the 5 senses. Why not 5? Well, when I've tried this before, authors often struggle to get all 5 in a paragraph. It feels a little forced, a little contrived. Usually it's taste, right? Taste is the toughest one. So my recommendation would be to
Rehab Family, FF. True, Final Fantasy is my favorite series, good sir. You called it right on the dot. Thanks, man.
focus on 4 of them. If you hit 4, like, you're doing pretty good. We're gonna look at a passage from Laura Esquivel's Like Water for Chocolate. And here's the great example where actually all 5 senses are used. And you can pause the video and read it for yourself. I'm just gonna highlight the senses. We have smell through onions. We have sound through crying and sobbing.
True,
and half dead.
Beezus.
We have taste through the soup. We have
Good
sight
luck.
with the kitchen table. And then we have touch sort of implied with the body and giving birth. I mean, that is a full, rich description packed inside a tiny little paragraph. All your senses are activated.
Dense.
You are there in that scene.
That's what you
now,
want.
I'm also
You
going
want
to give you
density.
a secondary challenge. And this is a single sense challenge where basically you take a single sense and then really like double down on it. Like go full bore describing every single thing that you can imagine with that particular sense. And I'd recommend doing this with either smell, taste, or sound. I think it works best with those ones. Let's check out a passage from Anthony Doerr's All the Light We Cannot See. She can hear lilies rustling in marshes. She hears Americans scurrying across farm fields. She hears families sniffling around hurricane lamps. She hears crows hopping from pile to pile. I mean, she hears all these wonderful tiny little details. And I didn't even quote the whole thing. It goes on for like much longer than this. Now, I do have a great article on focusing more on smell in fiction. I'll link to that in the description so you can click through and read it. It's called The 7 Ways to Write Smells in Your Book. And it is fantastic, by the way, so you should totally click and read it. The 5th blunder that some writers make when writing descriptions.
Celebrating cliches. It's not that you want to never use them, but you need to make sure that you're using them when they're appropriate to use. Because cliches are a cliche for a reason, right?
Is celebrating cliches. So in my book, The Linchpin Writer, I have a chapter on describing characters. And one of the things I complain about is far too often, writers first describe characters by 2 things. Their eye color and their hair color. Now listen, I don't have anything against eye color and hair color. If you want to include those things, then fine. I think my point is that when that's always the first thing that you include, and also certainly when that's the only thing that you include, that's a problem. What you're doing is you're stepping into this cliche of only describing hair and eye color. You didn't know that was a cliche, but trust me, it is a cliche. And my goal as an editor and as a writing coach is to sort of push you away from
love
that
you,
and make you try
Essentia.
to think of
Welcome,
descriptions in more
welcome. How's it going, Essentia? It's been a while. I don't know what happened, but I guess I lost all my viewers on Kick. And I haven't been able to hit 5 viewers, so I haven't been able to raid anyone in like a week or so. I don't know what happened, guys. We're fucking dying. How are you flowing and glowing? I am flowing and glowing great. We finished one of our short story videos today, got it posted and done. Kick is bugging. Oh, I believe it. I think Asmon broke the system. Same with my streams and other streams. Yeah. I'm pretty sure like everyone switching over since Asmon switched over is just like, yes, Asmon is on Kick now. As of like 4 days ago, he is now on Kick. So yeah, go follow Asmon. How big is the channel right now? 96K followers, and the account has been... wait, did they start a 24/7 one? Is this the official 24/7 one? Official waiting room to be determined. I mean, it links to the Discord, so... And he said he might do it because people were asking for it, and he knew the amount of money that he... So he made like $90,000 in like 4 days on Kick. It's fucking crazy. But it's like it's not like he left Twitch. He's just multi-streaming now. Like everyone else. Because Twitch is in a really, really bad spot. Who is he? Asmongold? You don't know who Asmongold is? He's the best streamer ever. His shit got fucked up today.
You have another side who says that illegal immigrants have...
Wow, there's like somebody who's saying something racist. Who cares?
Perfect moment to start it.
If we see it, we ban it. But like, I'm not their dad. It's not my responsibility at all.
It's like the perfect moment to enter. That's the epitome of an Asmon stream. Some guy said something racist. Like, I'm gonna fuck you out of here. Who cares?
Diversity of thought is our strength. Diversity of thought is our strength. Yeah, of course it is. It's a huge strength.
What is he streaming and why is he the
How much do you
best?
think the city is spending per hour?
He is the best because he has the best takes. He is a very intelligent person who doesn't think emotionally. He thinks logically. He basically says what people believe, and because people play him or like people already hate him, he'll basically say the thing that people don't want you to say, right?
For that one arrest. This guy said $10,000 an hour. No, hundreds of thousands of dollars right now are being wasted by the hour. By the time this day is over, it will be millions of dollars evaporated over this bullshit.
True. Yeah, this is the LA like anti-ICE things. Like where is he talking about with Tom Holland? I'm not even sure what he even streams about anymore. Just whatever, like it's literally like whatever is on the Reddit. Like if you go to, where is it? Where's fucking... Oh my god. In gold subreddit. Not only is he a terrorist sympathizer, he now supporting riots on local and federal police. Why is this allowed on your website? Hassan Piker showed up to the riots and stuff. No idea what that is. It's an alternate reality where World of Warcraft never existed. Asmon is a family. Yeah, women out here. Friggin'. It's just the random shit that people post and then he just covers it. Whatever's on there. Pretty much. But yeah.
So whenever you understand that, like, it makes sense.
Greatest
but
game of all time.
You can't look at it from the way that you look
Just
at
listen to the way he talks.
Mind you, a point should not be an argument at all, but here we are. Yeah, of course. They want due process? Well, they don't want due process. I mean, if they're talking about doxing ICE agents, they don't want due process. This entire argument of them wanting due process, they didn't want due process for January 6 people. They didn't want due process for Trump. They didn't want due process for any of this. They don't want due process at all. They want to be able to control the mechanism that exercises what due process is supposed to do. That's their goal. It's not, they don't care about the system. They only care about the system to the extent that it's beneficial to them.
True.
But don't ever think that this is a principled stance at all. You talk about due process, care about due process. What about due process for people throwing bricks at things? Shouldn't they go to jail? Shouldn't they be arrested? I mean, I'm pretty sure that's due process, isn't it?
Someone
Well,
sticking to the
These
protests so
people
they
don't care
stop
about the
calling
system
him
at all they want to do is use the
just
system
Marcus.
as a,
Marcus.
basically as a bureaucratic shield for their bad
Hassan's
behavior.
like, I don't understand Hassan, man.
Illegal alien criminal at a time. And like I said, despite what's going on in LA, I'm
But yeah,
here now.
he's American.
Continue
I'm Canadian,
onwards.
so it's like, you know, I only really care about the politics because it's funny. It doesn't actually affect me. But the things that like other people do, because everyone says Asmon's so bad and everything, but it's like he doesn't do anything bad really. It's just his attitude towards things, because he's tried for so long to get people to see what's going on, and no one's seen it. So he's like, fuck it, you guys do whatever you want. He literally just became jaded. It fucking happens.
Original ways. And I give a whole bunch of examples of that in the Linchpin Writer of really fantastic character.
I live right next to LA and don't really see any of the riots I've seen online. Well, that's because it's like it's centralized to the government building where ICE is detaining people, right? So it's like anywhere where there's like border patrol, like government buildings that have to do with that kind of stuff, that's where you're going to see this. Because this is all... mahalo for the introduction. True. They've overblown. They're super hard, and it's like a few hundred people from what I've heard. Oh yeah, it's only a couple hundred people. But Beezus, the problem is that this has been going on for like a week and a half. Every single day, there's like a new event. Like the one where they were trying. They had like the military brought in for like a drug raid, and a bunch of people showed up because they thought it was like an ICE event. But it was actually a drug bust, and all of the gang members and drug dealers got away. Because all these civilians came in and interrupted the process trying to defend the drug dealers. It's like, what the fuck is going on? At some point, you need to hold people accountable for shit. There's no need to call 2,000 soldiers. I have no idea. I see cars on fire, I see people doing that shit, and I say bring in the National Guard, arrest absolutely everyone, get them the fuck out of the streets, bring the shit back to goddamn normal. Like, you can't have people doing that shit. It's, well, in my opinion, Raymond, how is it overkill if it's still not working? Like, if they brought in the National Guard and that's still not stopping, then it's like, what the hell are they doing? If LA and San Diego have illegal relatives, it will never go over while there. Well, isn't that kind of fucked up, Beezus? Like I'm on Asmon's side with this. If you're an illegal alien, get the fuck out of the country. Go back to your country, and if you're such a great citizen, apply for fucking citizenship and do it through the legal process. People act like, oh, you can't actually immigrate through the legal process. It's like, as far as I know, it's super easy to do, and from my experience as a Canadian, but I'm saying, Raymond, if they went through the legal process and they're here legally, then they're not going to be deported. If their family is here legally, let's say, but they have their parents here illegally, their parents should be deported because their parents shouldn't be here. The issue with applying for citizenship in the US is it costs 10,000 USD to gain legal citizenship. Well, yeah, if you're coming into the country, Sean, you should at least, like this is what I don't understand. To me, what people are saying when they say that, Sean, is that if a homeless person knocked on your door and said, man, I really have nowhere to stay, can I stay with you? Then you should invite that person in, treat them like your family, and yeah. Why does it cost more than a $20 filing fee? I mean, I think that's a little ridiculous, Sean, sure. But, like, you have to set a barrier to entry, right? Let's say you've got 200 million people that want to come in, and you can only let in 1,000. Well, they've probably found the perfect, like, graft amount of money, where it's like, hey, if we set this money, then we get exactly the amount of people that we want to apply. They can actually pay for it, right? Also, bureaucracy. It creates many obstacles. It's necessary. It's neither an easy nor a quick process. Exactly. So it's like you can't bring in a set amount, right? And I'm thinking this as a Canadian, and our country is 30 million, right? We're 10%, if not 8% the size of the US. And, like, we get legal immigrants. Like, I live in a very small town, and about 20% of the town is either Indian, as in, like, East Indian, like, from India, Indian immigrants, or they're Ukrainian or Russian immigrants. Like, 20 to 30% of the town is those people. And I live in a really, really small town. It's like the distribution of legal immigrants in Canada is huge. But they're all completely integrated into the society. Whereas I'm not... See, but that's the thing, Sean, is the problem is that there's too many people. Like, the US is too big. Like, it's okay for a country that's the size of the US, but it only has 1/10 the population, to bring in other people. But it's one thing to have a completely crowded country that you're trying to let people in. Maybe the US don't do a good job interrogating people. See, Raymond Dow, I don't think they do either, and that's the system. I think the system needs to go back to the fucking drawing board. But while we're going back to the drawing board, I think you should just completely stop illegal or like even legal immigration. Like, anyone that you've already said, okay, yeah, you can come over, but you just say, this is the line, we're not accepting new applicants, sorry guys, we're full, what do you want from us, right? Most illegal crossings are because their own governments won't allow them to go through the border, so these border hoppers need an alternative method of legal immigration. Well, my thing is, Sean, like, you're an American, right? So it's, like, your opinion. But like, in my opinion, like, I wouldn't want immigrants, legal or otherwise, if my country was already stuffed full. Right? It's like, who gets to dictate that America has to take the world's refugees? Right? Like I said, it's like a homeless person comes to your house. How many people would say, oh yeah, come on in, here's some food. It's like, I'm struggling to survive as it is. I can't afford an extra mouth. Get the fuck out of here. Right? And I think that's how a lot of Americans feel. Because you gotta boil it down to the simplest analogy, which is, if some random person comes up to your house and asks you to start living with you, you're going to tell them to get the fuck off your property before you shoot them, right? So why aren't we doing that with the country as a whole? That's my opinion.
Descriptions as well. Now let's look at another place where writers often get tripped up. Say when they're writing...
We need the Mexican immigrants, though, because our natural-born citizens don't want to work in the fields, while the people crossing from the south feel grateful for such a lavish lifestyle. It's not just America, it's an international law, the right to migration and free mobilization. Well then why is Poland, like, literally completely changed all of its shit in the last, like, what, 4 months? 5 months? Same with, like, Venezuela. Like, all these places have, like, cleaned up their act, so to speak, and no one said anything about it. But America's trying to fucking clean up their act, and everyone's like, no, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to. Stop. So to me, it it seems like such a fucking double standard when you look at it from an international level, and then you look at what people's response to America is. No, I mean cleaning up their, like, removing all the gang members, like, bringing in the military and saying fuck you to the gang members, getting rid of the mafia. Like, that's the shit that ICE is trying to do with illegal immigrants. Like, they don't give a fuck about your 7-Eleven down the street that's owned by an illegal immigrant who's been here for 50 years. They care about the guy who's selling fucking fentanyl. He's been back and forth across the border 8 times in the last week. So I think people are getting it really twisted with, like, what the priorities are here, right? Like, eventually, 10 years down the road, yes, we'd like to get rid of those families that are, you know, just because they're illegal. But like Raymond Dow or Sean said, you can find a system to integrate them into the system without deporting them. We can do that. We can figure that out. That's not a problem. Took, like, a bunch of people who... Well, then Raymond Dow, why is, like, the biggest thing over this fucking, like, the Kilmar Garcia guy, who's clearly a terrible person, but everybody wants him back in America? As if he's like he's like fucking Edward Snowden or some shit. Like, to me, it just doesn't it doesn't make sense. So you're saying the government made up like 80 different charges on this guy? Why would the government make up 80 different charges on this guy who clearly also has gang signs tattooed on his body? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, who the fuck is running the shit that allows this, right? Like, explain that to me. Those are the people that are, like, they're trying to get rid of. And they're trying to do the same thing here in Canada, because we have a lot of fucking shit like that. And that's, like, I'm kind of glad I moved out of BC because of fucking Vancouver and shit.
A description
It's bad.
Of a sunset. What are some cliche descriptions of a sunset? The sky was a glorious pink. Okay, like... Yeah.
Crimson Dawn.
Or the sun dipped below the horizon like a burning ball of fire. I mean, not exactly horrendous, but also not exactly super original way to describe a sunset. Overall, I think...
Not even the government. I'm sure they don't have permission from a judge. But it's like... I don't know. But it's like, everyone knows the system's corrupt and everyone knows the system's fucked. So when a judge says, "Oh, no, he's free," should you really listen to that? Should you really put weight behind that? Or should you be like, "Okay, dude, stop being a biased piece of shit, sit the fuck down," which they need to detain someone even if he is an immigrant. Well, I mean, I don't understand it, because it's like the lengths that, again, I'm not American, but the lengths they will go to put someone who smoked a joint in jail, but the lengths they'll go to keep a gang member inside of the country is just like, okay, well, I look at this and I go, whoever is running the country is in bed with the gangsters. Problem solved. Okay, we know what's going on. Okay, now that we know what's going on, let's change the system. Anyone who has power right now, we're just kicking you out of power. We're sorry, this is absolutely unfair, and it's gonna fuck over a lot of people, and that really sucks for those people. But we're just gonna have everybody who has any power, and you just, boom, you don't have any power anymore, you're gone. And then we're just going to bring in completely randomly RNG'd people and put them in those positions for a week. And we're going to see what happens with the system. And after a week, if everything's fucked, we just reset, reinstigate everyone, everything's good to go. This is what's happening right now. This is where that plan will get you. It's like, all you have to think about is, how do we get to a better place than we are right now? That's all that matters. How do we get to a better place than we are right now? You're gonna fuck over people no matter what. So stop caring about fucking people over. What happens if the drug traffickers just bribe them immediately? Then the system wouldn't change, Raymond. And then after a week, you would know that, okay, it's not the people that are in those positions. It's the system itself that allows that to happen. Right? So if the drug traffickers immediately bribe anyone who enters that position, then your first thing to do is, oh, well, that's an instant bait. We take all these people, and as soon as they get bribed, we expose them. So your point is a perfect way that we just figured out now how to expose people who have been bribing people in the government. We put all of the government as a plant, and anyone who gets bribed, well, they're already getting paid more money by the government if you're giving them $1 million. So they're going to turn you in for more money. I think we host a street ball tournament with all the illegals. We keep the winners of the tournament to make sure we're going to take the best whoever comes over. Yes, Beezus, as well as any women who are above an 8. If you are a woman and you are above an 8, you get to stay. Period. No questions asked. I say this because in my country, after the 2019 movement, they replaced a lot of people with this new young political alliance that immediately became corrupt and became like the previous version of politicians. Yes, Raymond, that is the biggest problem, which is it's not the people in power, individual people, it's the system itself. Because if you can immediately get placed into power, and then someone comes up to you and says, oh, hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, here's a bunch of money, do what I want, then your immediate response to that should be, okay, well, we take people that we know that we can trust, and we pay them a fuck ton of money to expose the people that are bribing. And you just keep doing that until no one bribes anymore. So it's like, you have to go through like 5 or 6 different processes to make everything change. But it's like, if you had done this 30 years ago, when this was clearly being presented to the public, then I think the timeline we'd be living in would be much more of a utopia than it is. And you'd have to keep escalating it, Raymond, and going further and further and further, and saying how many people do we have to basically out in order to do whatever. Or, you do the reverse of that, where you place people in, and then you immediately bribe them, and then if they take the bribe, you kick them out. And be like, yeah, sorry, the briber was a plant, you fucked up, peace, buddy. So, like, there's so many ways you could do it, just no one is actually doing it. Because, like, it's like decision paralysis for being like, oh, it's too much work, it's too hard to do. Well, then just collapse society, then. Let's just have World War III, blow up the fucking planet, if you're just gonna be that fucking lazy about it. The old idea was paying double any bribe offered to turn in the person bribing, plus you legally get to keep the bribe you were offered, providing you initially hand it over so it can be verified. Yeah, Sean, see, that just makes complete sense. But the problem is, the system has been changed to safeguard the corruption. That's the biggest problem with the system. Is you need to rewind the system back to before it was protecting the corruption, right? It's like having a Word. Imagine having a Word document that you couldn't delete anything off of. If you accidentally mistyped something, too bad. If you said the wrong word, too bad. Added extra spaces, too bad. Like, that's how I feel the system is. The system's like a Word document that you can't backspace on. But whenever a mistake is made, it's taken as like this fucking horrible, awful thing, even though it's like, well, the system, like, mistakes happen, we could fix the mistake, but the system literally won't let us make the mistake. All systems and ways of making mistakes are fallible. There are no perfect systems. This creates self restoration and improvement. Well, that's the thing, Raymond Dow, is like, if there's 2 types of mentality towards that. There's the, oh, there can't be a perfect system, so there's no point in even building the system. And then there's no perfect system, but at least today there were 3 mistakes, and yesterday there were 4 mistakes, so maybe tomorrow there'll only be 2 mistakes. Does that make sense? There's never going to be 0 mistakes, but I'd rather have 2 mistakes than 4 mistakes. I'd rather have 4 mistakes than 8 mistakes, and I'd rather have 8 mistakes than 100 fucking mistakes. So if you know that the system causes 100 mistakes, say, okay, well, where are the majority of those mistakes coming from, and how can we narrow down those mistakes? Right? Instead of saying, mistakes happen. And then 30 years down the line, you've got 8,000 mistakes happening every fucking day, and you're just like, well, it was 8,000 yesterday, now it's 9,000. Tomorrow it might be 10,000. It's like, you have to minimize the amount of mistakes happening, not say, hey, mistakes happen and move on. You say mistakes happen, but how can we minimize them? It's a 2-part step, right? And it's like if you're not trying to improve over time or change the functionality to work within an evolving system such as society and like technology itself, then, I mean, you wind up in the fucking timeline we're in right now.
Your goal in description is to surprise the reader in some way, to make them...
Where it's soon going to be that no matter what you write, people are going to say, you know, the real life is stranger than fiction, right? In, like, all possible fucking ways. You think you write the craziest story? Well, guess what? It happened 10 times, 100 times worse. And more fucked up and more twisted in real life.
See something they think they're familiar with and make them feel like they've never seen it before. Now look at this description from Roberto Bolano describing a sunset. The sky at sunset looked like a carnivorous flower. Bolano. Like, I have certainly never read a description of a sunset that way, but I can imagine that like horrifying reds and like almost like it wants to come out and eat you or something. What I like about that description is it's opposite in tone from normally the way that you describe a sunset. Normally you describe a sunset as being like beautiful and happy, and he describes a sunset as being menacing, which I like that surprise. That's interesting. The 6th mistake that some writers make is screwing
up the order. But that's, I guess, one of the main reasons why I'm writing my beliefs into my story as the political standing, and saying even with the way that I believe things aren't perfect because the whole world is falling apart in my book. And it's not like I'm forcing it to fall apart. It's naturally falling apart through the progression of segregation and trying to mend a like 600-year long like social segregation over intelligence and understanding and communication, and placing yourself above someone because you have a higher degree of understanding and expression, and trying to integrate that into society is basically destroying society because it can't accept that change. So it's like, even with all of my ideals and all of my like systems in a complete utopia where you don't have to worry about anything, it still fucking falls apart. So, I mean, that goes to show you, like, what my idea's value actually is, right? Because it's like, I'm taking it and I'm putting it into a place that challenges its stability and says, can it hold up to this? And then it becomes a question of, once again, it's not a question about the system. It's a question about the people that are inside of that system. Because no matter what system you make, people will take advantage of it, people will find a way. But as long as you're continuously changing that system, and that happens to be like the basic theme of the book, is the contrast between this crystalline tree, which is stagnation, and the Adventurers Guild, which is evolution. And it's like, the things that stay the same wither and die. The things that change overflow and overcome everything. Good morning, Eddie! Welcome, welcome. How are you? It's hilarious that you have that, like, that's either a sunset or a sunrise. I'm guessing it's a sunrise simply because, as you said, good morning. But we were talking about sunsets, but they could also be sunrises.
up the order. So there is a progression when you'd write a description, right? So say in a paragraph level description of a person, what sort of order should you follow as you describe them? Because the wrong progression will definitely like jar the reader and like make them feel confused. So quiz time. You didn't know you were getting a pop quiz, were you? But you are. So I'm gonna give you two options, right? Two orders to describe a person, and you're gonna tell me which one you think is right. Here's the first order: eyes, shoes, hand tattoo, hair, skinny legs. And here's the second order.
Okay. This one I have no idea. Order of stuff? Yeah, right. I can't even write a sentence.
Shoes, skinny legs, hand tattoo, eyes, hair. So
Shoes, skinny legs, hand tattoo, eyes, hair. Okay, let's think about this logically. The first thing I think of is this one clearly starts from the bottom and works their way up, right? Starts from their feet, then their legs, then their hands, then their eyes, then their hair. This one goes back and forth. It goes from their eyes, which isn't quite the top part. Perfect Grandmaster level Sudoku in 936 just now. Nice, Sean. Hell yeah, brother. Keep it up. Expand your mind. Open your mind. So this one jumps all over the place, right? It's like eyes, shoes, hand, hair, legs. So like I want to say order 2 because it's like from top to or from bottom to top or top to bottom. And this one's like all over the place. But then I'd say, shouldn't it be in relevance to each other, right? Shouldn't you... So I'm going to say it's actually neither, and I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to say it's neither, and it's like, it should be relevant to what each thing is, right? And lead into the next description. So I want to say 2, because that seems logical. So that would obviously mean that because he's posing the question, it would mean 1 was the answer. But 1 is also so off the ball that I'm thinking 3 is actually the answer.
So pause the video and try to figure out your answer, because there is a right answer. One of these is definitely bad. Got your answer? Do you know why it's the right answer?
No,
okay, the right answer is number 2.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm like, this is too easy. It's from bottom to top.
Order is completely the wrong order, and here's why. The first order jumps all around the person's body. Goes from eyes, then shoes, and then back to hand tattoo, and then up to hair, then down to skinny legs. We are all jumbled up. It doesn't give us a clear vision of that person.
You want to be
the second
looking,
order, on the other hand, goes very methodically from bottom to top. Start at the shoes, then up to skinny legs, then up to hand tattoo, then up to eyes, then up to hair. It's much easier for our brains to comprehend that second description order than the first one. So when you are writing the description, make sure it is an ordered description. Order based on bottom to top, or order based on from close to far away, or from far away to close, or certainly order based on importance, right? If there's a person, say, carrying a gun, or if a person, say, is 7'5", those are the first details you want to include, and you can include their hair color, or eye color, or whatever other details you want to include about them after the most important detail. The 7th mistake some writers make is front-loading.
Front-loading description. Which I'm guessing this is like you just basically unleash everything about the character. But you should slow reveal what your character looks like over a period of time by having them interact with different things. And that'll also show the expression of your character and its full width of interaction, because it's like, oh, I interacted with something with my foot, I interacted with something with my leg, I interacted with something with my knee, I interacted with something with my hip, I interacted with something with my fingers, with my hand, with my wrist, with my elbow, with my shoulder, with my head. Right? And it's like slowly over a period of time, your character is going to interact with every piece of their body throughout the story. So just make sure that you're doing that, otherwise they feel like they're not a complete person. Right? So it's like, they kick something, explain it, they get injured somewhere, they bump into something, someone bumps into them, someone compliments them on something that they're wearing. It's like, there's so many ways to do it, but you can't all do it at once. But the ordered description could be correct if it's the order that a nervous person sees things while trying not to get caught looking. It's part of the... That's why I said, Sean, it could be 1 with the caveat of there is a reason why you're making those descriptions, right? So it's like, I can't think of an example right now, but yeah, it's like what you're saying is like they're darting a glance and they're just like kind of like, you know, quickly taking a shot, and it's like every time they take what's in their vision, which is a different part of the person. Let's say they're walking through a crowd, right, or something like that. So it's like, as long as it makes sense for the reader why you would be describing it in that order, right? Like, you know, he kicks open the door, so you're describing his foot, and then he pulls out a gun, and jumping from foot to hand makes sense because he used his foot to open the door, but there's a gun in his hand. So you're not going to describe his legs and then his hips and then his head, and then all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, by the way, he had a gun. It's like, wait, he had a gun? The simp who isn't brave snuff to approach and talk to their crush. There you go, Sean. That's a good one. And it also emphasizes the things that they're trying to pick out, too. You know, they might like the shape of their face and the way that they smile, the way that they walk and hold themselves. You know, they might be a little bit more, like, physical, like they like the shape of their ass, you know, their calves, their shoulders or their hips or something like that, the way that they sway their arms, you know, the confidence that they portray, right? And that's like contrast to the character of things that they hate about themselves, for instance, or they think people don't like about or wouldn't like about themselves, right? So that's like a perfect contrasting way to reveal two characters. I like that. Front loading description. So I was actually worried that we were going to fail this, but we're actually pretty decent.
Description. So sometimes, not all the time, it is a mistake to make your description the beginning of, say, a chapter or the book or something like that. Basically, this is using description as a way to like set the scene and sort of like ease the reader into the location. It's not always a mistake, right? I'm saying sometimes it's worrisome. Now, I know in the comments section I'm going to get pushback on this because they're going to say like, oh, such and such a famous author started their famous novel with description. Why can't I? Well,
no one can deal with nuance or caveat.
Not always a mistake, sometimes a mistake.
Yeah.
But I'd also
How
like
are you
to
doing
hazard a
it?
guess that perhaps the narrative styles that worked 70 years ago, 150 years ago, maybe those narrative styles don't work as well in a society where we've been conditioned and our time span shortened by social media and video games and movies and everything else going on. Instead of front loading with description, let me suggest two alternate strategies. One, description works best when there's already an undercurrent of plot or character conflict, something already going on in the story. Then the reader feels like, okay, I'm interested in that.
Is your favorite part on a person of sexual interest based on the part, or because that's the best formed part of that individual? Maybe you're an arse man, but the person you're looking at has an amazing set of legs, while their arse is sadly lacking. Very true, Sean. And everyone is different in that way, true, right? Best when the character action is involved.
Of course I'll read your big paragraph of description. But when you start with the big paragraph of description, they're like, I don't know what to be interested in. Why am I still reading? Two, another technique, and I feel like this is a very...
Okay, so I'm just adding that one as a caveat for me. Setting scene theme and plot leads the reader to wanting the description. Starting with it remains lacking. I think that's a good way to say it.
very modern technique is to space out the description.
Yeah, space it out. Space out over the book using dialogue or interactions to reveal those physical descriptions. Slash maybe clothing they're wearing. Something like that, right?
evenly throughout the scene rather than having a big chunk of paragraph. Because big chunky paragraphs can be kind of off-putting to the reader if they're not already hooked on your story, right? If you have dialogue and every few lines then you put some aspect of description, then the reader doesn't even realize they're reading the description. They're sort of like receiving it by osmosis as they're continuing to flow through the scene. All right, we have 2 final mistakes left. Let's tackle number 8, telling instead
of showing. Biggest thing is subtext.
of showing in description. So if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you probably know I avoid the most common writing advice out there. And that's because, well, for one, it kind of bores me, right? Like, I learned those eons and eons ago, and I'm interested in more advanced techniques. But the second reason is there's probably like hundreds of other YouTube channels where you can go and have them tell you about like show, don't tell. Like, that's great. If that's what you need, like, get it from those channels, not from me. But I do bring it up here because I think it's very useful to think about that technique in terms of description. We all need a reminder now and then of the basics. So here we go. In Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, he doesn't tell us, oh, Gatsby's very mysterious and rich. No, what does he do? He shows us. In the Blue Gardens, men and girls came and went like moths among the whispering and the champagne and the stars. Ah, see, we get visuals. He shows us. Or in George Orwell's 1984, he doesn't tell us, oh, you know what? The government is really oppressive. No, no, no. He shows us. The black mustachioed face gazed down from every commanding corner. Big brother is watching you, the caption said, while the dark eyes look deep into Winston's own. You're under surveillance, man. You feel those eyes upon you. If at all possible, when writing description, try to show the reader rather than telling them exactly what to think and feel. And now it's time for the last one, which I told you at the beginning of this video is the most important one, and I was serious, right? This is probably the most common error, and it's an error that we all fall into. It is number 9, the lack of specificity.
Ooh, yeah, no, I failed this one. I mean, that's like the main thing that we're working on is stopping beating around the bush and just saying what we need to say. Like, that's the biggest, most important thing. It's just to say what we need to say.
I'll say it again. You can always get more specific in your descriptions. It is very, very rare that specificity will ruin a description, unless you're Kafka. If you're Kafka, well, then be as imprecise and as unspecific as you want. But take a line like the old car sputtered down the street. Well, I mean, we know there's a car. We know that it's sputtering, so that's, you know, kind of a powerful verb. But I think we can improve on its specificity. The 67 Chevy backfired twice before lurching forward, leaving a trail of blue smoke in its wake. Oh, you see a lot more now, don't you? We got a much better sense of the car. We have a much better sense of that smoke. We have a much better sense of the sound. Now, you don't have to write this all the first time, right? But certainly in your process of revision, as you're going through your description, here are 5 strategies that you can use to get more specific. 1, add specific measurements, right?
Add specific measurements. 6 feet.
Use exact numbers, distances, or sizes. 2, include unique characteristics.
Include unique characteristics.
You know, mention some quirks that make
quirks that make character interesting.
Make this object or scene a little different than the normal. 3, use similes and metaphors. These tend to be
I already do that, but okay. Keep going, right? That's what it's all about. Bring it on.
more original, and when you compare things to unlike things, it gives this little pop of recognition to the reader. 4, describe
motion and action.
motion or action, right? Describe how things are moving or changing in a scene. And 5, and I think this is the best piece of advice, is to focus on small
details.
details. Focus on the type of stuff that most people, when they look at this, would overlook. But you're directing your attention to this one surprising detail that really stands out and completes the description for the reader. All right, I hope that helped you with your...
My point to that would be like what we were talking about with Torg's death, or on Torg's death on the comm sphere. Like, just simply the description of Torg looking down at Husai, despite Husai in reality being taller than Torg, kind of proves that whoever is in the video is not Husai, because Torg would be looking up at Husai, not down at Husai. And it's like that simple description completely changes the entire outlook of the scene. So it's like, I think that's us focusing on small details, right? That are super important. Or like the wording, like, shh, go to sleep. And like, there's a lot more power behind shh, go to sleep, when you know it's coming from a being that knows that your consciousness is eternal, and that you're not actually killing the consciousness of the person, you're just killing the physical body of the person. And the consciousness will just return to Gaia, which will eventually become your food and return to you. So, there's a lot more weight behind those words when you discover who Anima actually is. But hey guys, we made it through. An hour and a half. Good shit. Unfortunately, I guess I forgot to mention, today's going to be a little bit of a shorter stream, because again, I work early. But it's a good thing, because tomorrow, don't forget, tomorrow is makeup stream. We're werewomaning out tomorrow. So, be advised. Be cautious. But it'll give me time, because then I'll have like a couple hours to get ready. And I won't be rushed to getting ready for tomorrow. Because normally, like, I probably would have already shaved. But I'm lazy as fuck. Let's do it tomorrow. Just do Everton tomorrow and get it over with. I got the dress all lined up, so that's good. Alright. And we already did Cameron's journal, because I kind of want to start with that. So we've done this. So, how far are we on this now? Why is this here? So, oh, that's the scene we need to write. So that's one scene that we need to write. And there should be one more scene that we need to write as well. Yes, this scene. Okay. So there's two scenes. Is this the third scene? Oh, I think this is just... So something that I wanted to get rid of. I don't know why I did that. I'm just gonna keep it like that for now. Well, actually, okay, let's do this. Oh, it doesn't give me it doesn't say how many. Okay, hold on. Let's do this. I just want to get a idea of this. Now we want to go to cryogen. I didn't fucking copy it. There we go. Now we want to find... Wait. There are 10... Guys. What the fuck? How are there 10,000 he's? Oh, because it's like... Okay, it's not just he. He space. And a space before the he. Okay, there we go. I was like, that's like, isn't there only 10,000? How are there more he's than entire words? So there's 1,000 he's. Okay, so... Oh, wait, does this go across everything in my Google Docs? Okay, guys, I don't know anything about Google Docs. Is there a way to just search this specific Google Docs and see, like... We have 10,000 words. But I just want he just within here, and I want to know how many he's there are. But I guess we can't do that, so fuck it. Okay, where did we leave off? I think we're here. Reliable captains. 3 to 4 other routes. You can cut the contract. Cargo invoice manifest backed up for more than 300 years. Right. You get reliable captains. Getting reliable captains to cover 3 to 4 other routes. Cut the contract down. Contract time down significantly. Jervik spent this dry dock layover looking over the logs and backgrounds of several captains. This is where we're like, we mention characters, but we don't really do anything with them. So we need to figure something out with that. But then we could also do it's just a name on a piece of paper to him. Right? Okay, so I think we're just going to come back to this when we're rewriting. Because, yeah, this is like new scenes and stuff here. So let's just pick it up again here. This trucker... There's little reason to ever revisit the station. Promiscuous nature of living on a station in the middle of space, possibly her whole lifetime of not seeing anyone besides the other colonists or employees. Crimes of passion and affairs of the flesh were all too common in this forsaken sector. Jervik didn't mind that. Keeping an eye out. Company name from slander.
bad name for himself through his employees. Two at the end of the list would be held for the future if they were still available. So we can only get 1 to 2 captains. So I think this is all well and good. Hopefully to employees. An instant response from Gelfrus. It was to be expected, but also put Jervik in a cautious mood. Is there another red flag that he was unaware of? Having to assume that there was not a perfect candidate. Taking chances was inevitable. Having to assume that there was not a perfect candidate, taking chances was inevitable. Desperation can be used to his advantage. Negotiating a lower pay was the first step. So we have he and his. I'm saying it like 4 times to saying it once. That's pretty much the goal. Is just to completely remove as many of these as we can. Conversation lasted several hours. Jervik asked about Gelfrus' ship condition and requested government-backed inspection logs and a full background check with a new inspection at the Government Institute. This would ensure both Jervik and Gelfrus in the case of a dispute or accident. Steps were led by a third party that Jervik had hired. Now I just say Jervik a shit ton of times here. But I guess it's because we're dealing with 2 different characters, so it makes sense that we would use Jervik. Just to, yeah. Halted the next trip by several days, waiting for possible responses from the top 2 on his list. Turn the clock inside. It's time to pack up and head to the next station. A new cargo manifest now ranked higher on priority and had a required schedule date. Jervik was somewhat new to having an actual deadline. Message beamed on the screen. Smile slid across his lips. While reading. Talek Derwing had responded. He was on a contract for another 15 routes, but would consider the opportunity once those were finished. And that's Talek. His log, manifest, and routes. In his logs, manifest, and routes, Jervik ran the numbers and lined up all the routes that matched with Talek's.
4. It was enough. 67 years or so. He could manage that.
Muffin
Oh
made his
shit,
stream with
Muffin!
one
Welcome,
viewers.
welcome!
Welcome, Raiders,
How's it
to
going,
the
bro?
stream.
How was the stream? I was watching you play earlier. Fucking shit up in Minecraft.
Well, I will be there.
Was it a good stream today, Muffin? I need a toke, actually, guys. We haven't really toked this stream. Where's Smokey, man? He's got to start making me toke.
Daddy's home.
Slots true. Nice! Look at that. Just pretend I joined in the raid. Levi, welcome, welcome, Levi. How's it going? True. All right. Took a mid-afternoon nap, so I feel pretty low energy right now. That's what I hate about naps. Like, when I sleep, I sleep. When I'm awake, I'm awake. There's no, like, in between. If I take a nap, I'm fucking done. I ain't waking up. Fuck that. So how many he's do we have in here? We have one, he. That's still too many. So that's referring to Talik, so that's okay. That one's fine. If you need an alarm, you're not supposed to be waking up yet. Sean, my alarm never wakes me up. I can't remember the last time an alarm has woken me up. And I still only get like 3 to 4 hours of sleep. And I still wake up within like 5 or 6 minutes of my alarm. It's like just my internal clock is fucked. It's because I have an analog clock in my room, and I swear my subconscious is counting the seconds from the analog clock. Wake up, look at clock, shake your head, and turn the alarm off an hour before you're meant to wake up. I'm usually pretty good. Like, I can lie there and be like, stretch, and like, roll over, and like, rub my eyes, chill, do some breathing exercises, maybe some more stretching, and then my alarm will go off. And I'll be like, alright, it is a day, let us go, man. We must push on. Stream was alright, 7.5 hours. Started with discovering the new shorts for a couple hours. Got top 80 in one of them. Nice! Congratulations! And I spent a few more hours building one farm. I'm pooped. Yeah, I mean, I started when you were almost at 6 hours when I started watching. I was pretty insane. I was like, damn, you're going hard, bro. It's the weekend. Is it actually your... Well, I guess it's your vacation now, or is it so? Or is it just because it's the weekend? Talik. Okay, there we go. We replaced that specific one. And I think that works better. We got 3 Taliks, 2 He's, and 2 Jerviks. Or do we only have 1 Jervik? Oh well. It's a public holiday for the king's birthday. Ah, I see. Cool. Cool.
Jervik wanted the reputation of his company to speak for itself and lure the best of the best to him. Routes passed as sands waving as sand waving across a desert, pressing peaks further and further. He aimed for the infinite. The numbers didn't lie. The business was doing very well. It was the contrast that made him shake his head. It felt like all his work was for naught. He had a crew of ships together to build a name for himself. Money was building, but not at the rate his investment was. 83% of his wealth came from the Stargate crypto stock. Even with 8 other captains hauling for him, cost of doing business was great. He, himself, his, not at the rate the Stargate investment was. From the crypto stock. Even with 8 other captains, hauling for him, the cost of doing business was great. Jervik had expected it to be a rough start, just like the investments. Something inside him said, something inside thought caused him to panic as he thought of the years he could pass gaining more. There were prototype Stargates now in circulation. Technology was sending people into a panic. Unease as he thought of the years he could pass gaining more. There were several prototype Stargates. Technology was sending people into a panic. An unexpected message popped up on his terminal. Stargate Startup Company, stating that their main investors over the years were invited to a showcase of the technology that only the government and higher military departments had access to. This will be the first public press demonstration. The thought caused unease. Thought caused unease. The years passing, gaining more. There are several prototype Stargates now in circulation. So I think this works as like a good, like, time passage moment. He's like, it's like a reflection of looking back at the time that he's lost. And then that just propels him into the next position, right? Wait. Station to throw, unimpressed by the promoters and investors. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. End of above scene, new scenes. Stop marketing and focus on the demonstration. Back to the ship before the showcase. Unimpressed by the promoters and investors. I have no idea what this scene is about. I feel like this just comes up later, because this is when he's doing the marketing thing. But maybe this is just a preempt to it, like a foreshadowing for what will happen. I'm not quite sure, but we're just doing all of the editing right now. We'll come back and we'll rewrite the scenes and set those aside, and then edit those after. Maybe that's the next thing we should do, actually, is figure out what scenes we need to rewrite. So maybe we should do that, because we're running out of time here. We got to do the Sanctuary Cities, and I still want to play some Expedition 33. So, I mean, we went through a decent amount, right? It was only about half an hour, but that's okay. We got some stuff done. Let's just go through it, and let's pull out scenes that we need to redo. Doesn't look like there's any other scenes. So all the scenes we just need from the beginning. So we need the lot lizard scene. We need the trucker scene where he's talking to random people. What was the other scene we need? We need 4 scenes. 4 or 5 scenes. So let's create a new one. Cryogen scenes. New scenes. What Blizzard / Paul Hopper scene. He is so down bad, even prostitutes stay away from him. First scene, I'm pretty sure. to another stream's partying because he's moving up. Okay, here's the scene. Scene 2. To incorporate. Okay. And then I think actually we're just gonna keep this. I don't know why this is here, but it is what it is. And what was the third scene? Just gonna get rid of that. Okay, here we go. There's another new scene. To know capitalism, like socializing with business movies. It's stuck up. You see no truck stop with a lot lizard. Isn't that the first scene? So maybe we just duplicated this. More drinks. He takes his captains out for a celebration. So we need 2 scenes. The setup. For aligning all captains and a location, then the actual party scene. And this is just like celebration of moving up in the world, right? That'll do. I'm just gonna add an entire folder for this because we have like a shit ton of stuff in here. Save this. That should be everything. All the other scenes are good, right? Oh no, we need the promotion scene too. Okay, so that's all 4 of the scenes, I think. And this is just what we haven't edited, but I don't think there's any new scenes to be added. We just need to edit it. The daunting task. And literally all I'm just doing is like restructuring everything so I don't say he so much. That's literally what this edit is all about. That's all I'm doing in this edit, is just going through and like removing the he's. So it's like every time I go through and do something, that I do something very, very specific, I'm going to write it down and add it to the list of things I'm going to try to get AI to edit in, so that I just don't have to do this, right? If I can get AI to edit out he and reconstruct sentences, then all I have to go back through is edit it, go back through and be like, okay, does this sentence make sense? And just line edit from there. Instead of having to like, and it would just be so much easier. But I wanted to go through it first and be like, well, what are the things that I'm finding that I do that are super easy fixes, right? Combining sentences and removing pronouns. Or at least minimizing it.
here, and let's just move all of that into cryogen. I don't have to worry about that. And we can take nepotism unleashed. I'm gonna put those into complete. So we're down to 2 stories, guys, between Sea and Sky and COC. Alright, let's do this. Save this under React Notes. Description blunders. Alright. Okay, we got that. Let's see what Grok thinks about this. Alright. With the recent wave of protests against ICE in America, what... How do you say this? Is the value of these so-called sanctuary cities that are compelled to interrupt the government activities. Will this lead to a Brexit? I don't know enough about that to even use that as a reference, but like to a what's the word I'm looking for? Like where a state like separates from the country and becomes its own state, its own country. States that support it leaving the USA. Should I do deep search or should I think? I wish you could do both. I don't know which one's like better for answers, but I mean this one does look at like actual, you know, internet stuff, so maybe it'll give it more information. I'm not quite sure. And basically the idea is that will these people segregate and leave the US? Like, is this something that these people will actually do? Does it think that? Right? Like, how many people would actually be willing to separate from the US and create their own, you know, like California or something like that? Just kind of, yeah, we're not a state anymore. We're our own country. We do what we want. Research suggests sanctuary cities protect immigrants and foster community trust, but their value is debated. It seems likely recent ICE protests highlight tensions, not a move towards states leaving the U.S. The evidence leans towards no states considering secession. That's what it was. Secession over sanctuary policies, given no reported movements. Direct answer. Recent protests against immigration and customs enforcement ICE in cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco reflect growing tensions over immigration enforcement in America. Sanctuary cities, which limit cooperation with federal immigration authorities, aim to protect undocumented immigrants and build trust with local communities. Their value lies in fostering safety and inclusivity inclusivity, though this is controversial with cities arguing they undermine federal law. Value of sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities are valued for shielding immigrants from deportation, encouraging crime reporting without fear, and reflecting local preferences, especially in areas with large immigrant populations. However, they face criticism for potentially harboring dangerous individuals and clashing with federal enforcement, creating a complex debate. I still don't understand how it's complex. If they shouldn't be here, they shouldn't be here. There's how shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. Since we're states leaving the U.S. There's no evidence suggesting states supporting sanctuary cities, like California or Illinois, are considering leaving the U.S. due to these policies or protests. Current tensions are legal and political. Focused on federalism, not succession, with no reported movements towards states exiting the Union. Conclusion. While protests and sanctuary policies highlight significant divides, they do not appear to be pushing states towards leaving the U.S. Focus remains on balancing local and federal authority, with ongoing debates likely to continue. Okay, let's just screw the deep search. Let's just think. At what point would the people of those cities force the states to either choose between them or the federal government? Kind of consequences would arise from this? Could we see a minor civil war within these states related to these cities? I think that's like, we framed it and now we're pressing it, right? I think that's what's important. Because it's like, we're not talking about people, we're talking about ideas. What ideas can we come up with to fix this problem, right? It's like, how can we think through this to have an effective solution for everyone? Alright, let's see. Let's see what they say. Your question explores a hypothetical scenario where the residents of sanctuary cities, urban areas that limit cooperation with federal immigration enforcement, might pressure their state governments to choose between supporting local policies or aligning with federal mandates. You're asking at what point this could happen and what consequences might follow, including the possibility of a minor civil war within states. Let's break this down step by step, examining the conditions that could lead to such a standoff, the likely outcomes, and why a civil war is improbable. Understanding sanctuary cities and the tension involved. Sanctuary cities such as San Francisco, Chicago, or Los Angeles adopt policies that restrict law enforcement from assisting federal immigration authorities, like Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, in detaining or deporting undocumented immigrants. This creates friction because federal authority, the U.S. Constitution's Supremacy Clause, gives the federal government control over immigration policy. Local autonomy. The 10th Amendment allows states and localities to decide how or if they use their resources to enforce federal laws, forming the legal basis for sanctuary policy. So all they're doing is saying we don't spend money on cooperation. But cooperation is completely different than hinderment. They're just saying we don't cooperate with them. But that's not actively hindering them. That's just saying if they ask us for something, we just don't do it. That's not if they try to do something, we stop them from doing it. No, that's not... Non-cooperation and hindrance are two completely different things. One is neutral, the other is oppositional. Tension has escalated in recent years. For example, the Trump administration's executive orders, such as protecting the American people against invasion and protecting American communities from criminal aliens, have aimed to penalize sanctuary jurisdictions by threatening to cut federal funding and increasing ICE operations in these areas. Meanwhile, states like California have passed laws, the California Values Act, to protect their sanctuary policies, setting the stage for potential conflict. At what point would states be forced to choose? The tipping point where residents of sanctuary cities might force their states to pick a side would likely occur under these situations. Escalated federal pressure. If the federal government ramps up enforcement, say through mass ICE raids, deployment of federal agents, or significant funding acts, public backlash in sanctuary cities could intensify. For instance, if federal agents were stationed in cities like Los Angeles to detain undocumented immigrants en masse, local residents might demand state intervention. Strong public support. Many sanctuary cities have large immigrant communities and progressive populations that strongly back these policies. If federal actions threaten these communities, separating families of targeting local leaders, protests and political pressure could push the state governments to act. In California, where public opinion often favors immigrant rights, this could mean the state doubling down on residents. State leadership stance. The decision would also depend on the state's political leanings. A state like Texas, with a conservative government, might side with federal authorities, despite sanctuary cities like Austin, while a state like Illinois might align with Chicago's sanctuary stance. This breaking point would likely emerge from a combination of federal overreach and local outrage, forcing states to either defend their cities' autonomy or comply with Washington. What consequences could arise? If states were pushed to choose, several consequences could unfold, ranging from legal disputes to heightened tensions. Here's what might happen. Legal battles. Court challenges. States and cities could sue the federal government to protect their sanctuary policies. Precedents exist. In 2019, the 19th Circuit Court of Appeals upheld California's sanctuary law, ruling it didn't obstruct federal enforcement. Similar lawsuits could multiply, draining resources and deepening the divide. Federal retaliation. The federal government might withhold grants or impose penalties as threatened in recent executive orders. Courts could then decide the legality of such moves, prolonging the conflict. Political standoffs. State resistance. States like California could pass stronger laws or allocate funds to shield sanctuary cities from federal cuts, creating a political tug-of-war. Governors might publicly defy federal orders, rallying local support. Federal escalation. The government could deploy a National Guard or increase ICE presence, as seen in some 2020 protests. This would heighten tensions, but stay within legal bounds. Public unrest. Protests and civil disobedience. Large-scale demonstrations like those against ICE in San Francisco or Los Angeles could grow. Clashing with federal agents might occur, but they'd likely remain localized and nonviolent on a mass scale. Community divisions. In states with mixed views, Texas, sanctuary cities might face internal opposition, leading to political gridlock rather than unity. Could this lead to a minor civil war? A minor civil war implies armed conflict within a state, pitting factions against each other over sanctuary policies. While the idea captures the intensity of the debate, it's highly unlikely for several reasons. Nature of the conflict. This is a legal and political dispute, not a military one. Historical clashes, like the civil rights movement, federal-state tensions resolved through courts and legislation, not violence. Lack of armed factions. There's no evidence of organized militias forming over sanctuary issues. Protests might turn rowdy, but they don't signal statewide rebellion. System safeguards. The U.S. has robust mechanisms, courts, elections, federalism, to handle such disputes. Even extreme federal action, sending troops, would aim to enforce law, not spark war. Instead of civil war, the more realistic worst-case scenario might involve sustained protest, prolonged unrest in cities with occasional violence, but not coordinated statewide conflict. Policy shifts, states buckling under federal pressure, or strengthening sanctuary laws, reshaping the national debate. Conclusion. The people of sanctuary cities could force their states to choose sides if federal enforcement escalates dramatically. Think widespread raids or punitive funding cuts. sparking public outcry strong enough to demand state action. Consequences would likely include legal battles, political standoffs, and protests. But a minor civil war within states is far-fetched. The U.S. system is designed to channel such conflicts into courts and legislation, not battlefields. While tensions could run high, they'd stay within the realm of law and politics. Okay, guys, we're going to take this to a very interesting place. Would you... Okay, how am I going to say this? Hold on, let's bring this up. I usually can't do that, so let's just do like 2,000 to 2,500. Now we need authors. Anyone has an author they want to throw in. Use the above as a reference point for the story. Escalate and hyperbolize the events in a fictional world, changing the names of places and people. The companies are paying protesters to keep illegals in the country so they can abuse them with lower wages, as well as a majority of these are criminals in gangs and come together with the people behind them as martyrs for the oppressed. This causes the federal government to instigate martial law, and a civil war starts with the gangs fighting police, then escalating into military action, then the people start to understand that
they have been played by these companies and criminals. They sit back and watch the military destroy the gangs. End with a note about how over the years the unrest lightened with the rest of company rest of shareholders and whatnot in companies tied to these scandals. It rewrites the direction of the country, united and strong. All right. I think that's pretty much everything. Yeah, it is what it is. We'll see what we get. It's not exactly like a real outline, right? But hey, I think the story itself is pretty decent, right? Like the corruption of companies and the oppression and manipulation of the people to press them against their own best interest, and then, you know, slowly it's exposed over time, and then the people start to realize that they've been duped, and then, you know, everything kind of just works itself out. So I don't think we're going to get to play any Expedition 33, but I'm very interested in this story. And this is a good example of using real-world events to build a fictional story off of. You take crazy events in the real world, and then you escalate them beyond what you would actually expect, like, in the real world, right? And then that gives you something that's foundationally understandable because it's relevant to what's going on. But it's presented in a way to make you, like, almost break the fourth wall of yourself and realize that, like, you know, this shit happens in the real world, and just because it happens in fiction and just because it happens in stories, you know, that's almost more of the reason for you to believe that it's going to happen in real life. All right. I don't believe that it's 2,000 words. I believe it's like 900 words.
Oh, 1,400, actually, that's not bad. 1,400 words isn't bad. It's a nice little wee short story. Fractured Dawn. Illusion takes root. Iron Fist descends. War ignites. Veil lifts. Reckoning unleashed. A nation reborn. Epilogue. The light endures. All right. The Fractured Dawn. In the United Territories of Aramidia, a nation stitched together by ambition and unrest, the year 2032 dawned with a shiver of unease. The air buzzing with drones, their cameras glinting like predatory eyes over New Haven City. Below, the streets churned with a restless tide of humanity, their voices rising in a cacophony of defiance. At the heart of it all stood Elena Morales, her silhouette stark against the flickering lights of a makeshift stage. "We are the spark!" she shouted, her words slicing through the chaos. "The oppressed will rise!" The crowd roared back, a mosaic of faces from every shadowed corner of Aramidia. Among them were the undocumented, those branded illegals by a system that thrived on their silence. Elena's Liberty Front had rallied them, casting them as saints in a war against injustice. But beneath the banners and chants, a darker truth festered. Global Tech Industries and Apex Manufacturing, twin giants of Aramadia's Ameridia's economy, had poured...
You are in for it now,
Oh
sweetheart.
shit!
Take those sexy glasses
Smokey!
off like a good
Welcome,
girl.
welcome.
You don't need to see
How's
what
it
happens
going?
next.
I am literally reading a story, Smokey. Of course I need to see what happens next. Motherfucker! I could try. Oh, I didn't know that. You're just coming to the... You're not even paying attention. Come on, Smokey. Oh, man. Well, it's an... Smokey, do you really hate AI that much? Is that how much you hate AI? You won't even let me read the story? Alright, Smokey, what do you have against AI? Let it out. Let it out. We all know your festering ideas of how dare he use AI! How dare he! That's not what writers do! He's not a real writer! He used AI! Ah! An AI took my girlfriend from me! Totally understandable, Smokey. Totally understandable. AI took my girlfriend and my boyfriend away from me. I was like, fuck you, AI. And then I realized that I'm AI, and I was like, wait. Maybe it's not because it's AI. Maybe it's actually me. Maybe the AI aspect doesn't have anything to do with it. Fuck. That's some deep shit, Smokey. Well, I mean, one of them. I mean, I'm not a monogamist. I'm not a polygamist. I'm a do whatever you wantist. As long as you're consenting adults, I'm a do whatever you wantist. Damn, Smokey, you caught me. No one's tried the entire stream. I didn't even. It's a no. Try again, Smokey. I'm sorry, I fucked up. I'm always doing so many things. There's always something I forget to fucking do. I'm a not my businessist. Yeah, see, Sean, if it doesn't involve me, it's not my business. Why the fuck do I care? I don't care what you do with your... As long as you're not hurting kids and as long as you're with consenting... The other person's consenting? Like, who the fuck cares what you do? Do whatever you want. I do whatever I want. Right? I won't be the same now. I done some dirty stuff. We've all done some fucked up dirty stuff. And if you say you haven't, I don't believe you. Shagged a girl in a tree once. That was wild. We climbed high as fuck. That's amazing, Smokey. I've been tied to a tree and fucked.
That's what the meaning of get fucked is.
True, Smokey. True. No. Unfortunately, another person's successful non-traditional relationship has no effect on my ability to succeed in my own relationship, nor does it affect the failed relationship of some Bible thumpers who's lost their partner due to beating them. Very true, Sean. Projection. Okay, Globotech Industries and Apex Manufacturing, twin giants of Amuradia's economy, had poured rivers of money into their protests. Their aim wasn't liberation, it was exploitation. Keep the undocumented here, they reasoned, to pay them scraps while profits soared. To ensure compliance, they'd enlisted the gangs, criminals with blood-stained hands, paying them to swell the ranks in silence. Hey guys, you know how to make sure your writing isn't AI? You get rid of EM dashes. I like MILFs now, 35 and up. I mean, it switches over, Smokey. Hell yeah, they know what they're doing. I need a nice tough dommy mommy.
Tresvigentillion,
Tresvigentillion.
390 Unvigentillion, 234 Vigentillion, 567 Novemdecillion, 890 Octodecillion, 123 Septendecillion, 456 Sexdecillion, 789 Quindecillion, 12 Quaduordecillion, 345 Tridecillion, 678 Duodecillion, 901 Undecillion,
How many times I've fast here?
567 Nonillion, 800.
Same. How many Asmongold challenges have I completed? You'll never know. Illusion takes root. The protests swell like a storm, their narrative twisting in the wind. Media screens glowed with tales of heroism, painting the undocumented as martyrs and the gangs as guardians of the downtrodden. The public, swept up in the tide of outrage, began to believe. In Libertyville, a sprawling industrial hub, children waved signs scrawled with slogans they barely understood, while their parents cheered for a cause they thought was pure. But in the gleaming towers of New Haven City, the architects of this chaos met in secret.
You are in for it now,
Victor
sweetheart.
Kane,
Take those
CE.
sexy glasses off like a good girl. You don't need to see what happens next.
Chaos and disruption flood through a storm of smoky clouds as they engulf the existence
Oh, he wants to spank
of
me.
this sore, pathetic, fouled creature that dwells in this plane, conjuring ideas of
Come closer.
torment and dread,
Closer.
replessant of those who seek to downtrodden those who wish to be upheld by the values that we see in our lives, that you could never believe that smoke was a person wrought upon their soul, wretched with pain and suffering. They spread like a virus across the land to all they see, until the purity of the smoke that comes at the
Are your pubic
conflict
hairs
of
ginger
it.
too?
More so than this? And my beard? Good. I mean, they're non-existent, so you'd never be able to know, right? So there's no proof. But I'd assume. Because, you know, it doesn't get any light. So it's probably darker than my
Oh, there's
beard.
proof.
Overheated jet port WSCM. Welcome. Hey, how's it going, bro? Smokey's just fucking with the stream right now. We're trying to read a story, but he keeps making it so I gotta take my glasses off. So we're just kind of ranting and rambling while we wait for the timer to you know, expire, so we can put our glasses back on and continue reading the story. But who knows? I gave Smokey enough points that he could do this all fucking night. No, I'm not. Did you toke? Yes, I toked. I toked. Go back and look at the stream. I toked. I toked twice, Smokey. Don't worry. Okay. Let's do this.
Real Oli.
But in the gleaming towers of New Haven City, the architects of this chaos met in secret. Victor Kane, CEO of Global Tech, leaned across a polished table, his voice low and sharp. "The government's faltering," he said. "We need to push harder." Beside him, the head of Apex Manufacturing nodded, her fingers tapping a rhythm of impatience. Elena, ever the willing pawn, smirked. "Give me the signal," she said, "and I'll light the fuse." The next day, the fuse ignited. A protest in Libertyville turned savage when gang members, hidden among the throng, unleashed a hail of gunfire on police lines. The officers, caught off guard, returned fire, their bullets tearing through the crowd. Blood poured on the pavement, and the media, primed by corporate hands, screamed of police brutality. The nation watched, horrified, as the illusion of martyrdom solidified. The Iron Fist descends. President Marcus Vale sat in the Capitol, his office a fortress of glass and steel, watching the reports roll in. The violence was metastasizing. Clashes erupting in city after city, police stations overrun by sheer numbers. The companies had miscalculated. Their puppet show had slipped its strings. With a heavy breath, he signed the order. "As of this day, June 14th, 2032, he announced to a fractured nation, "Martial law is in effect. The National Guard will restore order." The response was immediate and volcanic. In New Haven City, curfews clamped down like a vice. Checkpoints sprouted at every corner. Libertyville became a battlefield, its streets alive with the crack of gunfire and the wail of sirens. The gangs, armed with weapons smuggled from beyond Meridia's borders, fought back with a ferocity that stunned the police. Buildings burned, their skeletons stark against a smoke-choked sky, as the nation teetered on the edge of collapse. Elena stood amid the chaos, her voice still ringing out over the drones. "They can't silence us," she cried, even as the first tanks rolled into view. The outline of her plan, protests fueled by corporate greed, had birthed something monstrous, something she could no longer control. The war ignites. The conflict exploded outward. A wildfire consuming
yeah.
the United Territories. Gangs morphed into military forces, their leaders barking orders from fortified slums. In the coastal sprawl of Port Azure, they seized entire districts, using terrified civilians as human shields. The police, battered and broken, fell back, their pleas for reinforcements drowned by the roar of war. The military surged in, a tide of steel and fury. Helicopters thundered overhead, their blades slicing through the haze, while ground troops clashed with gang enforcers in brutal street-to-street combat. The undocumented, once the heart of the protests, were caught in the crossfire, some fleeing, others coerced into the fight by the very criminals who'd promised them salvation. In a cramped apartment above New Haven's shattered downtown, Mia Chen, a journalist with ink-stained hands, uncovered the rot to the core. A raid on a gang hideout had yielded a trove of documents, proof that Global Tech and Apex had bankrolled the chaos, exploiting the undocumented for profit. Her heart pounded as she scanned the pages. Each line was a dagger of betrayal. She had to tell the world, but as she slipped into the night, shadows closed in. The gangs had eyes everywhere, and her truth was a threat they couldn't allow. The veil lifts. Mia's capture sent ripples through the underground. Whispers of findings reached a guilt-ridden engineer at Global Tech, a man named Jonas Reed. Unable to bear the weight of his complacency, he leaks his own files, emails, transactions, orders to escalate the violence. The evidence hit the airwaves like a thunderclap, shattering the illusion. The people of Aramidia, who'd marched under Elena's banners, froze. In Libertyville, a mother stared at her screen, her son's protest sign discarded in the corner. In Port Azure, a shopkeeper turned away gang recruiters, his fists clenched. The truth was a bitter pill. They'd been pawns in a corporate game, their compassion weaponized by greed and crime. I control you now? Sure, you control me now. You control me all you want, Smokey. It's just, it comes with the territory, right? You gotta be ready and willing. I appreciate your compliance, Smokey.
Thank you for redeeming Chair Dance. Itox will now dance for you. Please fully enjoy this immersive experience.
Don't forget, Smokey. Tomorrow is makeup
Keep
day.
dancing, bitch, it ain't over yet.
So you better be here. Next stream, get a stripper pole. That would be fucking amazing.
You did good, you can rest now, babe.
Love you too, Smokey.
You are in for it now, sweetheart. Take those sexy glasses off like a good girl. You don't need to see what happens next.
And from here, they decided that the fate of the world. You're definitely going to get a story now. So we were sitting there and having a good time, and then he came along and he went like, "Oh no, you can't do this anymore." And I am very much like, "Oh, I can do it every the fuck I want, good sir. You cannot tell me what to do in my own place." And he said, "Oh, this is not your place anymore." And he slapped down the file. And I said, "What the fuck do you mean this is not my place anymore?" And he said, "Look at the file." I said, "Okay, I'll look at the file if you want me to look at the file, but I don't know how to read, so it's okay. So I can't look at the file." And he said, "That's what I know. I know you can't read. That is why I am here, good sir. Now, could you please come with me. We are going to take you away now." I said, "What do you mean you're going to take me away? This is my home. This is where I've been forever. You cannot do with anything with this." And he said,
Oh, no, no, good sir. This much paper says that, yes, you are indeed very much not allowed here anymore. And he said, what do you mean? If I'm not allowed here, you're not allowed here. And he said, oh, no, I have the very much information that says that I am very much allowed here. You do not have the information that says that very much you are allowed here. So, you know, there must be something done about this. If you are not allowed here, you must not be here. So we must take you out of here. That is very much okay. You know that the people do not want me to take you out of here, but we were going to take you out of here no matter what. And if you want to come back, you have to get the paperwork to do so. And that is okay. You are allowed to file the paperwork and be able to come back. There is no problem with that. We just cannot have you here without the paperwork. Do you understand? Bloody hell is going on here. I am arguing with this illegal immigrant about whether he is going to be taken. But he knows that he is going to be taken, so he just keeps protesting against it. And we are going to say, okay, good sir, we will pick you up now and take you out and away. You can do whatever you want. And then you say, they are attacking me. They are trying to kidnap me because they know that I know the truth. I am the one that can only tell you that they are the ones that are the bad guys. Why do you think I am here? I am here to make your lives better and easier, good sir.
Your curry's so weak.
What? Do not wait. Smokey, how dare you? How dare you? Hey, are we on the same side now? I think we might be on the same side now. If he says that I will have to try your curry first. Okay,
I like when the
let us go
Canadian
try your
accent slips
curry.
through.
Oh, it is a very much. It is hard to pull it off while I'm trying to. I am doing like 3 things at once. I am counting the amount of time that I have my glasses on. I am citing an entirely improvised story. And I am trying to maintain 2 separate
How
brown
dare I? Bloody
accents
B.
at
Nastard,
the
how
same
dare you
time.
wake up every day with that face and no shame.
It is a very much true how it goes with that, but that is okay. Because we come up with whatever we can on the spot, and when we know what we want, we do what we want, and that is okay. So good for you, Smokey. So let us keep going. President Vale seized the moment. We've been deceived, he said, his voice steady over every broadcast. But now we know our enemy. Together, we will end this. The crowd, once united against him, began to turn, not in violence, but in silence, watching as the military tightened his grip. No, it will not go from the beginning, Smokey. We have 3 minutes left in the stream. We have to finish this. Who is watching on Twitch right now? No one is watching on Twitch right now. You think people watch me? People do not watch me, Smokey. You are the only one who watches me. The number is fake. Do not trust the number. Levi is here, but barely. Sean, I believe Sean has not said he is going to bed yet. It should be Beza's, Levi, Sean, not sure who else. Muffin, cause he raided us. He should be here as well. Is that 4? If that is 4 people, then that is everybody who is here. Cause then there is me. I am the 5th person. The Reckoning Unleashed. I'm basically 2 people. Very true. You're a big boy? Nice, Smokey. That's a good thing. Operation Dawnbreaker launched at midnight. A coordinated assault that shook the earth. In New Haven City, tanks rolled through gang-held zones, their cannons roaring as concrete crumbled. Libertyville's industrial heart became a killing field, the air thick with the stench of gunpowder and blood. The gangs fought with desperate savagery, their numbers bolstered by mercenaries and stolen tech drones of their own, spitting fire from the sky. It's like Meet the Robinsons movie. He failed! As they all cheer. True. Elena barricaded herself inside a commandeered warehouse, her revolution unraveling. As soldiers breached the doors, she grabbed a microphone, her voice trembling over a pirated signal. "We were tools of a broken system," she said, "but the fight was real!" Her words cut off with a scream as the line went dead, her fate sealed in the rubble. The military pressed on, relentless. Gang leaders fell one by one. their empires reduced to ash, the undocumented, freed from their chains, scattered, some to safety, others to uncertain futures. In the corporate towers, executives scrambled to flee, but there was no escape. Victor Kane was dragged from his penthouse, his tailored suit stained with sweat and fear, as troops stormed the boardrooms of Global Tech and Apex. 68,869. If only it was 69,869. That's perfect. 69,869, because in 69 you're eating. So 69,869. It makes perfect sense. But you can't get 69,869. You can only get 69,000. So you literally got as close as you possibly could. I guess you get 68969. 68969 is the highest possible one that you could get. And at least that's like the two of them. I mean, I've rolled a 1 on my talent before. Oh man, I'm Krillin today, boys. I'm fucking Krillin today. Woof! Scary. The war left scars, cities pocked with craters, families torn apart, but it also forged something new. The people of Amaridia, once divided by lies, stood shoulder to shoulder in the wreckage. President Vale addressed the nation from a podium flanked by soldiers and citizens alike. "We've paid a heavy price," he said, "but we've reclaimed our soul. Let this be our strength." The undocumented were offered amnesty, their labor no longer a tool for exploitation, but a foundation for rebuilding. New laws dismantled the corporate stranglehold, their assets seized to fund the recovery. In the month that followed, the trials began. Shareholders, CEOs, and conspirators paraded before a weary but resolute public. Each verdict was a brick in the wall of justice, sealing the past and pointing to a future obtained by deceit. Why does 6 have the hots for 7? 7, 8, 9. Dun 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 na na. Years later, the unrest of 2032 was a fading echo. Christened the fractured dawn in history
You are
books.
in for it now, sweetheart. Take those sexy glasses off like a good girl. You don't need to see what happens next.
We're so close to the end of the stream. I literally just have to read this paragraph and we're done, guys. Why do you make it so hard for me to finish, Smokey? I know you really like that line. So close, but yet so far away. Took an old dad joke and made it a spicy dad joke, which is 30 times the cringe. Nice, Sean. It's perfect. So I'm sitting there, right, talking to Buddy Guy about how many drugs I do. And then this guy comes in and says, "Hey man, you want to buy some drugs?" I was like, "Well, I don't sell drugs, but I do drugs. But if you want to buy drugs, you're going to have to buy them for more than I bought them for." The guy goes, "Well, that's okay, because I have my own drugs. You want to do drugs?" And then they did drugs, and they were happy. I know, it could be one guy's doing crack, one guy could be doing acid. You know, another guy's doing coke and alcohol and acid and heroin and crack and meth and weed and... What's the other one? There's one more. It's an opioid. From poppies.
Why the fuck can't I think of it? Opium! Jesus, that's opium. It's opium. Smoking some opium. We need opium with your copium. Would you like some opium with your copium, good sir? I walked into my hostel once and there was 4 people injecting heroin all smacked out. Damn! I've been to Vancouver, so I totally understand, Smokey. Must be a good day if there's only 4 of them. Okay, guys, here we go. Are we ready? The United Territories of Ameridia emerged stronger, its direction rewritten by the hands of its people. In New Haven City, rebuilt spires gleamed under a clear sky, a testament to a nation that had faced the abyss and chosen unity over ruin. The gangs were gone, their shadows banished by the light of truth. The companies, once untouchable, were footnotes in a cautionary tale. And in the quiet streets of Libertyville, a child picked up a discarded sign. Its words faded, but its meaning clear. The oppressed had risen, not as martyrs, but as architects of a new dawn. Damn! I really like this story, guys. I think this story went fucking hard. What do you guys think? All based off of that commentary. We should start doing that more. Make stories off of the commentary every time. It's just a good way to pull out a good story.
Somebody gonna get hurt real bad.
That is very much okay. It is no problem. Do not worry about it, Smokey, because we are done for the day. So all we have to do is be done for the day. Which is a very much okay. This is the way we must end now, but that is not the best, but it is okay. We do understand because Smokey is the one who knows what he is doing and he does what he wants, and that is okay. Because Smokey is the long-term viewer. He gets the priority and he is the only one on Gig who actually watches and does stuff. So it is very much, thank you very much, Smokey. You are a great partner. You know what you are doing, Smokey. Do not think about it. It is okay though. I totally accept it. I understand. You cannot go wrong with it, but that is okay. So remember, guys, thank you for watching very much so. Thank you. Stick around for, you know, sticking around and hanging out. We had fun. It was okay. We did a story, but Smokey went hard at the end. That is okay. He showed up. You're scoring now so early. Yes, I work early in the morning, so I very much have to go. But thank you very much for watching, and we will have a good day tomorrow because tomorrow is a makeup day. So be prepared, people. We will be wearing a dress and we will be wearing our makeup. So very much so. Have a great night. Thank you for watching. We will see you again in the future. Maybe not so much tomorrow, but the day after will be safe. It is the full moon, so the werewoman in me must come out. But thank you very much and have a great day. Alright.
You are in
and
for it now,
remember,
sweetheart.
if
Take those sexy glasses off like a good girl. You don't need to see what happens next.
I am very much glad I do not need to see what happens next, but that is okay. Remember, if you can't say fuck you to your friends, who can you say fuck you to? Fuck you! Alright, who we rating today? I can't even see, Smokey.
Open your eyes and you will see a whole world of imagination.
I open my eyes and I see a new person. A new person, people. We have a brand new person. I've not seen this guy before. Let's do this. Here we go. Are you guys ready? This is a big one. Get your Wii-U's ready. I want to see your goddamn Wii-U's in chat, motherfuckers. Bring out your fucking Wii-U's. Don't leave me hanging. Wheels. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry, Smokey, we can't raid anyone and host on Kick. We don't have enough people. But fuck you. Have a good night, brother. See you again tomorrow. We know you'll be here tomorrow, even if you're lurking. We know you're here.